The novel constructs a multidimensional world known as Death Space, encompassing 19 distinct layers, each governed by various deities or powers. Upon the demise of a human soul, it enters this realm, yet only a select few can return through extraordinary means, either harnessing the power of the celestial star or achieving rebirth by consuming a deity. The protagonist, Han Yan, is one of the 81 enigmatic deceased beings who appear once every millennium, innately possessing the fate of the celestial star. Bestowed with the power to command death by the primordial essence, his existence is perceived as a threat to the prevailing order, as his abilities can disrupt the delicate balance of life and death, even challenging the authority of the gods. Chapter 1. Execution by Gunfire. In the year 2007, on Songlong Island, within the confines of Area C, lies the death row. The inmates here are some of the most vicious and deranged criminals, each stained with the blood of countless victims, unequivocally embodying the essence of murderers. Click, click, clicked at the end of the corridor. A door forged from high-strength alloy slowly opened, revealing the tall, albeit slightly gaunt figure of Han Yan at its threshold. Subject ZA0788. At noon, you shall face execution by gunfire, echoed a mechanical, cold voice in the desolate, cavernous hallway, as two steely soldiers regarded Han Yan with chilling eyes. That a serene calm enveloped Han Yan's pale visage, as if the imminent execution was not destined for him. The concepts of life and death had long since lost their significance. From the narrow slits of the corridor windows, pairs of eyes radiating a frigid, resentful glow fixated on Han Yan's departing silhouette. The terrifying, cold-blooded yet rationally appalling man was finally departing. A flicker of relief and an unmistakable envy glinted in the eyes of all the inmates in Area C. Yet, every one of them, even those whose minds had descended into the depths of insanity, were compelled to submit beneath this man's presence. He was finally to be executed. Ha! 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 Wild laughter reverberated through the rooms of the corridor, laced with undertones of melancholy and anguish. These individuals, death was an alluring choice, yet they dared not embrace it. Ending the lives of others, relishing the scent of blood as it gushed forth, and savoring the terror etched upon their victims' faces in their final moments was their forte. However, to bring about their own demise was a feat more daunting than scaling the heavens. The midday sun's radiant beams danced provocatively upon Han Yan, a rare occurrence on Songlong Island. A faint blush seemed to grace his pallid complexion, while his elongated, fox-like eyes shimmered with a peculiar violet glow. Who could fathom that 3 years prior, he was an innocent, delicate university student? Subject ZA0788. Before your execution, you may pen a farewell letter and address it. We shall ensure its delivery. A flicker of irritation crossed Han Yan's brow, yet a hint of self-mockery curled at the corners of his lips. A farewell letter. To whom could he possibly leave such a missive in this world, now devoid of attachments? His parents and elders had perished, leaving no siblings behind. A faint shadow flitted through his mind, yet it was already too indistinct to grasp. His journey over the past 3 years had eclipsed the span of an ordinary lifetime. Bang, bang, bang. The seasoned soldier, having executed this duty for decades, fired 9 bullets aimed at the forehead and heart. A fleeting pain coursed through Han Yan. Yet a smile emerged upon his face. He could distinctly feel his bodily functions gradually ceasing. For an ordinary person, death would occur within 3 seconds of being shot. However, Han Yan counted silently to 180 seconds in his mind, before the spark of life extinguished completely, and he succumbed to eternal death. Chapter 2. The third long path of the heavenly way. Han Yan furrowed his brows, gazing perplexedly at the somewhat deranged Ross before him. Over the past month, he had endured more arduous training in the biting wind and snow than in his previous life. However, as of now, perhaps due to the absence of soul power, his current strength was still far from even a tenth of what it had been in his former existence. Han Yan found it difficult to be satisfied with such a pace. Every increment of power represented an enhancement of his self-preservation in this unfamiliar environment. Although only a month had passed, he deeply understood that within this abyss of death, the survival of the fittest was even more pronounced than in the realm of the living. Yet, upon listening to Ross's words, he realized that he had inadvertently undergone a transformation of power. Regardless of whether a civilization is highly developed or in a primitive state, the essence of life merely hinges upon the passage of time. Advanced civilizations may employ various sophisticated powers to extend their lifespans, but the inexorable law of death renders the authority of the heavenly way inviolable. No one can escape death. Only through death can the heavenly way maintain its normal cycle. Such is the law of death, and it embodies the supreme existence of the realm of death. Upon dying, individuals from any civilization exist solely in the form of a soul and spirit, ultimately either dissipating entirely or being reincarnated. However, it is unclear when it began. But as the number of deceased in the realm of death grew, some individuals gradually mastered the power of the soul. Even with just a soul and spirit, it was sufficient. Thus, the power of the soul was born, a revolutionary development. Legends state that the first generation to harness this power within the realm of death transcended the constraints of the heavenly way, able to traverse space at will. Immortal through the ages. Today, after millions of years of evolution, an increasing number of individuals within the realm of death have mastered the power of the soul, with the levels of soul power representing their standing in this domain. The hierarchy of soul power, from lowest to highest, consists of the power of the soul, the power of the spirit, the power of life and death, the power of nature, the power of heaven and earth, and the ultimate chaotic power. However, not everyone can grasp the power of the soul. Individuals like Ross, for instance, can never sense the presence of soul power, relegating them to the most vulnerable group within the abyss of death, subject to exploitation. Thus, upon entering the realm of death, being able to comprehend soul power signifies the right to challenge the heavenly way of death, marking the commencement of a path toward strength. At that moment, Han Yin also realized that the creature torturing him daily was, in fact, a master of the power of the spirit. The disparity in their levels of power left him with no room for resistance. Moreover, Ross's words only deepened his frustration. These horse-faced guardians were mere creations of the heavenly way of death. From birth, they possessed the prowess of the spirit. Yet, their limitation was that they could never advance beyond this power. Their existence solely served to execute the commands of the heavenly way of death, treating beings like Han Yin with extreme severity. Thus, he bore no ill will towards these guardians. Ross had fallen silent, yet his gaze towards Han Yin remained filled with bewilderment and astonishment. In the mere span of a month, Han Yin had mastered at least the second tier of soul power, rendering him an extraordinary figure. As far as Ross knew, upon entering the realm of death, even the most gifted individuals could not attain genuine power within a month. At best, they could stabilize their soul and spirit, materializing them before truly sensing the soul power and practicing according to their unique circumstances. Typically, upon stepping into the realm of soul power, individuals would selectively affiliate themselves with various factions, choosing the most suitable method for their training. It is worth noting that throughout countless millennia of inheritance, myriad peculiar training methods abound, allowing most individuals to find a method that suits them. Of course, there exist exceptionally talented individuals who can sense the most fitting training method upon first entering the realm of soul power, gradually exploring and refining it. Ross recalled that, according to records in the realm of death, the fastest individual to enter the realm of soul power was Lord Long K, who hailed from the Kingfisher Galaxy 30,000 years ago and was said to have reached the 5th tier of Earth power. Yet, even he took 3 months to achieve the first tier of soul power. Could it be that the man before him would one day surpass Lord Long K, ultimately breaking free from the constraints of the heavenly way of death and transcending life and death? With this thought in mind, a flicker of determination flashed in Ross's eyes. He suddenly knelt before Han Yin and implored, "My lord, please allow me to become your follower. Although I am currently of no value, I possess invaluable experience and am well acquainted with all that exists in the realm of death, which may still be of some use to you. Moreover, if you wish to rescue the lady from the clutches of the Black Absolute, I have a plan that could significantly increase your chances of success. Otherwise, with your current strength, you are insufficient to contend with the forces of Black Blood City." "Follower?" Han Yin inquired, somewhat perplexed. Ross's eyes brimmed with sincerity as he clasped his hands tightly over his heart, declaring, "A follower is the most loyal, devout, and trustworthy servant. All that belongs to the follower shall belong to the master, and once the contract of following is sealed, the follower's life and death shall rest solely in the hands of the master." A deep astonishment flickered in Han Yin's eyes as he scrutinized the diminutive man before him. His appearance was unremarkable, even slightly disheveled, yet the fervor in his gaze stirred a genuine emotion within Han Yin. What could compel this man, whom he had just met, to willingly entrust his very life and death to him? Han Yin cast a glance at the ghostly moon emanating a chilling light overhead and replied, "Give me a reason. I seek vengeance." Chapter 3. Black Blood. The city of Black Blood lies to the southeast of the Abyss of Death, ruled by the Lord Hyzen, a highborn of the ancestral spirit clan. It is said that the progenitor of the He family was a general of the master of the 6th layer of the death space 3 centuries ago. who earned the title of City Lord for his merits in quelling rebellion. Thus, within a radius of 300 miles of Black Blood City, the Yi family's influence reigns supreme, akin to a local emperor. Rumor has it that Lord Hyzen has already attained the formidable level of the 7th tier of spirit power, placing him among the elite experts within the 9 cities of the Abyss of Death. For 300 years, the Yi family's power has remained unexpanded, shrouded in mystery. Under the guidance of Ross, Han Yin soon beheld the towering, dark walls of Black Blood City, with soldiers stationed at the gates, observing the bustling throngs at the entrance. Ross remarked, "My lord, there are no fewer than 10 million souls within the Abyss of Death, with 1/3 serving their sentences like yourself during the Ghost Month. The remaining 2/3, however, lead lives not dissimilar to those in the human realm, tirelessly striving for survival." Han Yin paused, inquiring, "What do you mean?" "Lost opportunities for rebirth." "Freedom," Ross responded. A flicker of confusion danced in Han Yin's elongated eyes, having long since abandoned any attachment to life or fear of death. He pondered the significance of differing environments. Yet, even in death, he would not allow anyone to trample upon him. A rare smile graced his face as he contemplated the intriguing nature of this realm of death. He, known on Earth as the Monarch of Death, now found himself in a place that seemed to embody the very essence of death itself. Unbeknownst to him, his mindset had begun to transform through this experience of life and death. Having exchanged 2 Blackstone coins, Ross and Han Yin successfully entered Black Blood City. After a month in the Abyss of Death, Han Yin was witnessing firsthand the stark contrast between the cities of this realm and those of the human world. As a denizen of the 21st century, he was enveloped by an aura of antiquity. The towering walls and vigilant soldiers evoked images of ancient times. Yet, within the city, marvels beyond his imagination unfolded before him: soaring skyscrapers, bizarre flying vehicles, and a plethora of exotic creatures and attire, all of which rendered this place a modern metropolis, nay, even surpassing Earth's technological advancements, while still retaining a rich, ancient charm. Han Yin stood awestruck, recognizing the profound disparity between this city and the humble valley he had inhabited for the past month. He had assumed that the environment of this realm of death would mirror that of the valley, yet he was astonished by the advanced technology present. "My lord, I have yet to visit the Lord's mansion. Allow me to inquire with others," Ross said respectfully, jolting Han Yin back to reality. It appeared that the loss of so many souls had indeed diminished his resolve, dispelling the tranquility he once possessed. Watching Ross blend into the crowd, a glimmer of coldness flickered in Han Yin's violet pupils as he surveyed the surroundings of Black Blood City. Beneath the Ghost Month, the bustling streets evoked a sense of disconnection within Han Yin. In the human realm, he was a figure of terror, a monarch of death feared and reviled by all. A demon in the eyes of both the righteous and the wicked, all eager to see him vanquished. For he was the legendary Lone Wolf, known to the world in mere years as the Monarch of Death, a solitary figure with no allies, no kin, no subordinates. He was an individual. And it was precisely this solitude that crafted the unparalleled persona of Han Yin. As Han Yin's consciousness began to expand, he still struggled to grasp the meaning of the terms soul power and spirit power that Ross had mentioned. He understood only that his training was born from the harshest trials on the icy peaks, where he comprehended death and fused it with the terrifying training of his past life to forge a unique power. He also recognized that Ross believed him to possess at least second-tier soul power due to his ability to shatter the impenetrable Azure Rock, a standard for testing soul power. However, he wondered if his strength was merely limited to this. A sardonic smile curled at Han Yin's lips, and his violet eyes gleamed with a haughty brilliance. Even with less than a tenth of his former power, the legend of the Monarch of Death would endure. Even in this realm of death, he remained an invincible sovereign. An unfamiliar, mysterious force began to circulate within Han Yin, yet he remained oblivious, immersed in his contemplative state. His remaining essence became increasingly clear and solidified with each cleansing of this enigmatic energy. His frail body and bones underwent monumental transformations, enveloped in a shimmering purple light. As his bodily functions gradually slowed, concealing energy deep within, as Ross stepped within a yard of Han Yin, he sensed the overwhelming power radiating from him. A terrifying force that seemed capable of obliterating souls entirely. A flicker of astonishment crossed Ross's face, his pupils reflecting shock. This formidable man was advancing at an alarming rate. "The gates of death have swung open. You have no choice left." A haunting voice echoed in Ross's mind, draining the color from his face as he met Han Yin's seemingly all-seeing violet gaze. He realized the impossibility of the situation. His every precaution had been flawless. How could Han Yin possibly discern his intent? A fracture appeared in Ross's spirit, if only for an instant, yet it was enough. The power of the soul transcended all. Ross's memories were devoured, distilled into Han Yan's mind. To avenge my slain wife and become my follower, how utterly ludicrous. Do you truly perceive me, Han Yan, as such a fool? A manic smile spread across Han Yan's face, his violet eyes narrowing like a predatory fox. Once unleashed, the monarch of death's madness would send tremors throughout the world. Ross fell silent, his once panicked face now devoid of fear as he met Han Yan's gaze steadily. It seems my lord has underestimated you. Even in the depths of hell, the monarch of death will refuse to be subdued. Ross's eyes turned toward the horizon, a haze of confusion clouding his vision, obscuring the entirety of Black Blood City. Suddenly, he smiled, the waves of spirit energy resonating with Han Yan's madness. As hidden memories flooded Han Yan's heart, the madness subsided, the bloodlust dissipated, and the tumultuous monarch finally found peace. You are the first to deceive me and yet evade the chaos of slaughter. But remember this, the legend of the monarch of death. Han Yan's words reminded Ross of the so-called evaluations of his own master. Chapter 4 Principles in the vast, pitch-black hall. The shadow concealed behind the dark throne had once conveyed a message when he sent him forth. In the Milky Way galaxy, on Earth, there exist 4 individuals who, after death, will receive the protection of the path of death. I cannot dictate their futures. The abyss of death, where the entity known as the Death Monarch, Han Yan, will manifest. You shall lurk by his side, ever ready to report back to me. However, remember this, among those 4 unpredictable individuals, the Death Monarch is the most capricious. The arrival of death in the will of the monarch, this is his terror and my threat. Ross took a step forward and proclaimed, the arrival of death in the will of the monarch. My lord, your potential knows no bounds. I have wagered everything on you. Throughout my life, wherever you direct your gaze will be the path of my blade. Han Yan chuckled coldly, a frenzied cruelty evident on his charming visage, and replied, you still fail to grasp the legend of the Death Monarch. Ross paused, a bitter smile emerging on his face. In a moment of impulsiveness, he found himself somewhat disoriented. The Death Monarch, a solitary figure, devoid of need for assistance, unafraid of any challenge. Death accompanied him throughout his existence, his coldness having reached its zenith. The slaughter of death will never cease, and the throne of the monarch shall ultimately be built upon a mound of bones. My lord, I do not believe that one who has already tasted death will, like a mere mortal, seal away all emotions and pursue cold-bloodedness to the end. A flicker of emotion crossed Han Yan's face. Indeed, Ross spoke the truth. Having faced death once, he had inadvertently gained another choice along the path of death and slaughter. Although he could not fully comprehend it yet, he sensed that his coldness was gradually boiling under the stimulus of death. Moreover, with adversaries now appearing, he would not be alone. A cruel smile spread across Han Yan's face as he murmured to the ghostly moon in the sky. Whoever seeks to manipulate the Death Monarch will pay a price. A wave of formidable spiritual power surged through the abyss of death, or rather, throughout the entire 6th layer of the death space. Countless powerful entities were aware that another formidable presence was beginning to awaken. In the 6th layer of death space, the main hall, the dark hall of the Reaper, upon the dark throne, a pair of blood-red eyes glimmered with mockery, echoing his voice throughout the vast chamber. It has been 10,000 years. I have endured solitude for far too long. I hope you will not allow me to feel lonely again, Death Monarch. Ha! The Black Blood City Lord's residence, situated in the heart of Black Blood City, stood out among the towering structures surrounding it. The white mansion shimmered in the predominantly black backdrop of the abyss of death, captivating the eyes of passers-by, yet no one dared to truly gaze upon it. The Black family, having operated for centuries, had forged an air of authority and iron resolve within Black Blood City, ruling over all within. Ross and Han Yan stood in a shadowy alley to the left, their figures taking on an eerie dark red hue beneath the ghostly moon. My lord, the Black family wields immense power, teeming with experts. If we charge in recklessly, we may not even reach our target before being torn to shreds by chaotic blades. Ross produced a map from his pocket, stating, this is the map of the Lord's residence, detailing all secret chambers and hidden passages. Han Yan cast a glance, his expression revealing surprise. It seems your so-called master indeed possesses considerable influence. This Black Blood City is one of the 9 major cities, and in your presence, there appear to be no secrets left. I wonder where your insider is stationed. Ross replied with a smile, my lord is truly astute. Indeed, when the previous lord of Black Blood City fell, my master had already dispatched an undercover agent. For hundreds of years, the secrets of the Black family have been laid bare before us. As for the specific identity, I am uncertain. I obtained this map from a designated location while feigning to ask for directions. Han Yin took the map, his keen eyes scanning it swiftly, his powerful spiritual force replicating the information. However, it became evident that the Black family's centuries of operations had resulted in no fewer than 30 secret chambers and hidden passages within the residence. Searching each one would prove immensely challenging. Han Yin furrowed his brow and turned to Ross, speaking icily, "Stop beating around the bush. Do you know where they will be held?" Ross remained unfazed, pointing out 3 locations on the map, saying, "If all goes as expected, they should be within these 3 chambers." The Black family captures these young women for 2 reasons, one for pleasure and the other as vessels for cultivation. In the death space, the spiritual fluctuations of beautiful young souls can accelerate the training process, making this a common occurrence among the powerful aristocrats. Han Yin glanced at the 3 locations, noting that they were all deep within the mansion, each path fraught with hidden traps. And the prospect of locating them one by one was contrary to his principles of operation. The Death Monarch, in his dominion over life and death, preferred to obliterate all before him with overwhelming might. However, this did not imply a lack of strategy. Indeed, once the Death Monarch began to plan with intent, the target would already be on the threshold of demise. Clenching his fists, Han Yin felt a surge of power coursing through him, inquiring, "Tell me, what level of strength do I possess?" Ross regarded the man before him, envy flickering in his eyes as he replied, "I cannot ascertain your realm, my lord. But if shattering the green rock represents your full strength, you should be at the 2nd tier of soul power, equivalent to an ordinary warrior within the Lord's residence. However, my lord need not despair. Achieving such a realm in merely a month is certainly unprecedented within the death realm. Typically, those who can sense soul power require 2 to 3 years to reach such a level, and each subsequent tier takes even longer." A grave expression settled on Han Yin's face. Although shattering the green rock represented merely a fraction of his strength, he understood that his realm would not exceed the 5th tier of soul power. What is the strength of the guards watching over those women? Ross, aware that their rescue plan might falter due to the vast disparity in power, replied candidly, "Since those women are ordinary individuals and the elimination rate is swift, they are merely watched by ordinary warriors. However, my lord, in the abyss of death, one must remember a fundamental principle." Ross's demeanor grew solemn as he stated heavily, "In the world of death, one must look after oneself or face annihilation. For in the realm of death, demise signifies the complete obliteration of the soul. Only those stronger than the realm of life and death can lock onto a soul in its final moments and, with rare substances, solidify that soul. Ordinary individuals possess but a single chance at survival. Thus, my lord, I advise you against recklessness. Without a realm of 5th tier or above, rescuing that girl is impossible. Moreover, this is under ideal conditions. If the Lord, hasten, and the mysterious elders of Black Blood City discover our actions, the chance of survival is 0. Han Yin listened intently, although he did not fully grasp the disparity in strength Ross described. He could distinctly sense an overwhelming force permeating the interior of the Black Blood residence, one that could utterly suppress and annihilate him. He abhorred this feeling. Ever since he had been hailed as the Death Monarch, it was he who instilled such terrifying power in others. Never had he been subjected to such domination. "I will attempt it once. My lord, I do not wish to repeat myself." In the chilling depths of his violet gaze, a palpable aura of deadly intent emanated as he turned to Ross and proclaimed, "What you must do is furnish me with all pertinent information." A wave of cold dread surged within Ross, leaving him bewildered. Could it be that this man before him truly possessed only the power of a 2nd-tier soul force? Chapter 5. The Decision. A shadow silently drifted into a rockery nestled in the left corner of the estate. During a patrol by the guards, the last warrior was abruptly seized by a pair of hands and vanished into the rockery, only to reappear at the rear of the formation in an instant. Han Yin diligently adjusted his own soul fluctuations to match the frequency of these ordinary warriors. Perhaps it was indeed the overwhelming reputation of the He family that rendered him invisible within the estate. No one took notice of him. The Lord's mansion was vast, and after a lengthy journey, the patrol team Han Yin was part of finally arrived at one of the 3 secret chambers. A sweep of the mysterious eye revealed that this chamber held over 100 women, yet he could not find the one he sought, Shui. Undeterred, Han Yin eventually spotted Shui's figure in the 2nd chamber. This typically adorable young girl now bore red and swollen eyes, a clear indication that she had been crying for a long time. Surrounding her were many other girls of similar age, all appearing forlorn. As he turned a corner, Han Yin vanished, reappearing at the entrance of the chamber. The two guards were swiftly knocked unconscious the moment he materialized. Han Yin exhaled a sigh of relief. Acutely aware that his escape would soon be discovered, and he was now tasked with fleeing alongside a defenseless little girl. His only option was to act swiftly. Before anyone had a chance to react, he would dash out of the estate. This was Han Yan's battle plan. Although it seemed overly simplistic, it was undoubtedly the most effective. The moment he entered the chamber, the faint sounds of weeping ceased as all the girls turned their gazes toward the figure clad in armor. Approaching the stunned Shui heir, he revealed his unique violet eyes. Her little face first flashed with fear, followed by sheer joy, ready to call out. However, Han Yin swiftly covered her mouth, his voice icy as he said, "The second young master has taken a liking to you. Come with me." Amidst the sympathetic glances from the other girls, Han Yin hoisted Shui heir onto his shoulder and disappeared within the chamber. Everything proceeded according to plan, and it appeared that the guards had yet to be alerted. Nor had the girls stirred. Now, it depended on whether he could move swiftly enough. "Shui heir, stay quiet. Your uncle is here to take you away." Excitement lit up Shui heir's face as she nodded in affirmation. This uncle before her had become her most reliable sanctuary. As if she had suddenly transcended from hell to paradise. Han Yan's form flickered in the darkness. Despite carrying another person, his speed remained unaffected. He had already locked onto the optimal escape route, and the exit seemed to be within reach. However, an inexplicable sense of foreboding surged within him, compelling him to halt. He could not proceed further. To do so would invite Death's scythe to sever his throat. Signaling Shui heir to remain silent, he concealed himself within the rockery beside the path. Two figures stood quietly beneath the ghostly moon, seemingly engaged in a heated discussion. The White Ghost. The king of Yiksha has traditionally kept to himself, but now that the Syathia temple has emerged, is he attempting to instigate a war between the abyss and the valley? With a face as dark as coal and fierce eyes, the towering figure, Heisin, began to manifest a murderous intent. In contrast, the slender man in white, the White Ghost, seemed utterly unfazed. "Hey son, the Syathia temple is the ancestral temple of my sixth space, a place reserved for the virtuous. Its emergence in the abyss does not imply ownership, nor does it designate the Ghost King as the rightful heir. I have come solely on the orders of my king. The Syathia temple will reappear in the Death Abyss and the Beast Blood Mountains a year from now, and at that time, not only will my king attend, but the Dragon King of Death City will also come. The three factions will unite, and the victor shall claim it." Upon hearing the White Ghost's words, Heisin was taken aback. "The king of Yiksha already knows?" The White Ghost sneered, his disdain evident. "Though you in the Death Abyss possess the divine listening beast to predict the temple's emergence, do you think our Qingluan divine bird in the Death Valley is any less capable? Moreover, the Dragon King's protective divine beast, the Xiangui, has long since calculated this. However, the Dragon King is known for his discretion. Did you still believe this was a secret? How naive and laughable." The mocking laughter of the White Ghost incited Heisin's fury. "Even if you are aware, it is of no consequence. My king has dedicated himself to cultivation for a millennium. His strength surpasses that of the king of Yiksha and the Dragon King. Even in a united battle, you would only bring shame upon yourselves." "Huh, how absurd. Though the Ghost King is formidable, do you think my king is weak? This millennium of rigorous training has been for the decisive battle a year hence. We shall see who prevails." The White Ghost scoffed, his words brimming with disdain for the Ghost King. Han Yin, concealed within the rockery, strained to maintain his soul fluctuations, yet beads of cold sweat began to form unbidden. They were far too strong. Not just the masters outside, but even they themselves were overwhelmingly powerful. It was a force of such overwhelming might that strength was absolute. And in the face of such disparity, all techniques were rendered futile. Shui heir held her breath, but upon seeing the sweat on Han Yan's forehead, her little hand instinctively reached out to wipe it away. Han Yin was taken aback, yet a bitter smile crept onto his lips. His unique cultivation method was sufficient to mask the presence of the two, but Shui heir's innocent gesture completely disrupted that concealment. Simultaneously, two voices filled with murderous intent rang out. "Who goes there? Get out." A solidified crescent blade of light erupted from Heisin's hand, obliterating the rockery in an instant. In that moment, Han Yin sighed, revealing himself beneath the ghostly moonlight. A heavy sense of oppression enveloped the surroundings as both Heisin and the White Ghost turned their gazes toward Han Yin. The vast disparity in their levels of power allowed them to pierce through Han Yan's hidden cultivation level in an instant. He was, at best, a trifling figure at the 5th level of soul power. Feeling the contempt emanating from their eyes, myriad thoughts raced through Han Yan's mind. What should he do? What could he do? His gaze fell upon the terrified Shui heir, this adorable little girl. All the guards rushed forward, but Sin's command silenced them, compelling their retreat. Boy, did you hear everything? Sin's soul pressure materialized, a force far beyond what Han Yan's feeble soul could withstand. Yet, the mysterious power circulating within him bolstered his resolve. Not a word missed. Han Yan's response momentarily stunned the two, but soon a wave of murderous intent enveloped the air. Han Yan could feel an invisible force constraining him, making every movement excruciatingly difficult. The news of the Syathia temple must not leak. Kill him. The white ghost's words prompted Sin to nod in agreement, unleashing a torrent of violent power directed at Han Yan. In an instant, Han Yan's violet pupils constricted, every cell in his body igniting into frantic motion. He understood that his chance of survival hinged on this moment. Sin merely wielded the power of the 8th level of soul force. Han Yan knew this was his only opportunity. If they realized that his speed and strength far exceeded that of an ordinary 5th level practitioner, they would unleash their full might to annihilate him. With a final surge of will, 2 faint silhouettes unexpectedly emerged from Han Yan's body, and he simultaneously met the oncoming 8th level force. The violent tearing of flesh and bone did not pause him for an instant, and he burst through Sin's left flank with sheer determination. The 2 phantoms, conjured from the essence of icy flames, surged towards Sin and the white ghost, one on the left and the other on the right, strikingly opposing in their direction. Both men emitted a sound of confusion simultaneously, yet their expressions swiftly transformed into a colder, more lethal intent. In an instant, the 2 phantoms shattered, and at that very moment, Sin and the white ghost unleashed their overwhelming power, which collided with the frantically fleeing Han Yan. It was in this critical moment that Han Yan truly sensed the disparity in their strength, a chasm as vast as that between heaven and earth. Countless thoughts raced through his mind. The terrifying force behind him was insurmountably powerful, leaving him with no room for resistance. However, the dignity of the Death Sovereign, having endured countless trials of life and death, did not allow him to relinquish the faintest glimmer of hope. In a fleeting instant, the alignment of his spirit and soul surged into overdrive, and within him, the mysterious purple light began to expand infinitely. At the very moment the attack wave reached its peak, Han Yan miraculously veered to the left midair. Simultaneously, the wave struck his right shoulder, shattering his entire right side as if it were mere pulp. Amidst the cries of shock, Xiao Shui soared into the air. But the white ghost's massive hands seized her firmly. As Han Yan turned, his violet eyes met Xiao Shui's expression of sheer terror, yet upon seeing Han Yan, a flicker of hope ignited within her gaze. "Uncle," a whisper escaped Xiao Shui's lips, sending tremors through Han Yan's very soul. Countless thoughts flashed through him, and he closed his eyes, retrieving the life-saving item bestowed upon him by Ross, and hurled it to the ground, releasing a dazzling crimson radiance. As the blood mist enveloped the scene, Sin and the white ghost paused, astonished. This brief moment allowed Han Yan's spirit to subdue once more, merging every fluctuation of his being with the fabric of the universe. Amidst Xiao Shui's desperate gaze and cries, Han Yan fled. When the blood mist dissipated, the expressions of Sin and the white ghost turned grim. The matters of the Sago temple must not be leaked. "Sin, this is your territory. Handle it as you see fit," the white ghost said, his tone laced with menace and indignation. Allowing a mere 5th-tier soul power individual to escape in the presence of 2 7th-tier powerhouses would surely incite the wrath of the king. Sin seethed with fury. After centuries of managing Blood Black City, to have been infiltrated and overheard regarding such a vital secret was akin to receiving a resounding slap to the face. "That boy took our united strike. He is likely gravely injured. Even if he miraculously survives, I doubt he can escape the abyss of death. Inform everyone within a 500-mile radius of Blood Black City. Upon discovering any wounded soul power experts, report immediately." Sin's gaze fell upon the still unconscious Xiao Shui, a cruel glint flickering in his eyes as he sneered. "With her in hand, I have no doubt that boy will come." The white ghost echoed his malice with a cruel smile. "Indeed, it seems that he has come specifically to rescue her. She must be of utmost importance to him." When Han Yan finally regained consciousness, the ghostly moon had faded from the sky, heralding the imminent rise of the ghostly sun. Ross, looking haggard, sat beside him, relief washing over his features upon seeing Han Yan awake. "My lord, you have finally returned to us," he said. As Han Yan attempted to rise, the excruciating pain almost overwhelmed him. A glance at his right shoulder revealed a horrific sight. It had been utterly shattered, flesh, blood vessels, and bones merging into an indistinguishable mass, now tinged black, a clear sign of potent poisoning. Logically, with such an injury, the poison should have spread throughout his body by now. Yet, miraculously, at the wound's edge, beyond the inky blackness, a faint purple hue pulsed gently. It was this layer of purple light that suppressed the poison, allowing Han Yin to cling to life. Furthermore, he could distinctly sense that with each pulse of the purple light, his wound was gradually healing, albeit at an agonizingly slow pace, yet undeniably effective. Regaining his composure, Han Yin surveyed his surroundings and inquired, "Where is this place?" Ross offered a bitter smile. "My lord, I remained outside the Lord's manor, and upon hearing the battle within, I knew your identity had been exposed. I followed you after you dashed out of the manor, and when you collapsed by the roadside, I brought you here. But rest assured, this is my secret hideout. No one will know of your presence. However, your injuries." Han Yan's violet eyes narrowed as he coldly regarded Ross. "You were able to track me." Ross, startled, replied, "My lord, forgive me. I was merely concerned for your safety. So I sprinkled some powder on you before you entered the manor, which allowed me to keep track of your movements." A flicker of murderous intent flashed in Han Yan's eyes as he admonished, "I owe you a life, but should you ever take such liberties again, you shall not have the opportunity to live." A sigh escaped Ross as he acknowledged, understood. Yet, despite his compliance, a troubled expression crept onto his face. Han Yin felt a surge of frustration. In his past life, he had been invincible, a lone wolf who scorned collaboration. Yet now, circumstances forced his hand. His strength remained woefully inadequate. Ironically, after merely a month in this realm of death, he found himself grievously wounded and indebted to two individuals. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed his agitation and spoke with a more measured tone. "Ross, speak freely. There is no need for hesitation in my presence." Ross sighed heavily, stating, "There is a young girl hanging from the Lord's mansion in Blood Black City. If I am not mistaken, she is the Xiaoshui you seek to rescue." Han Yan's eyes darkened, a wave of guilt washing over him. Xiaoshui regarded him as her sole pillar of hope, yet he had ultimately fled for his own safety. This left an indelible shadow on his heart, a reminder that perhaps he would never be able to repay this debt of gratitude. His expression soured, and an unusual tension filled the air. The crowing of a rooster heralded the end of the ghostly moon, signaling the dawn of a new day. Han Yin rose, pain accompanying every movement. He donned a long, dark robe that concealed his injuries, leaving only his pallid complexion exposed. As the ghostly sun ascended, the overseers would soon arrive. Tools in hand, Han Yin left behind a resolute declaration. "I shall proceed to the boundless snowstorm of Qingyan Mountain. The death of Xiaoshui's family will ensure that Blood Black City pays a heavy price." Ross observed Han Yin's retreating figure, gradually swallowed by the swirling snow, his expression reflecting a whirlwind of emotions. This man defied all logic, leaving Ross astonished that he would abandon Xiaoshui. Cold-blooded, cowardly, and fearful of death, these descriptors felt utterly foreign when applied to Han Yin. The azure rock of the broken snow mountain was far more resilient than ordinary stone, and the rock Han Yin was chiseling from the peak was imbued with the tenacity of the icebound heights. "You truly are insane, insisting on hammering away here, forcing me to suffer alongside you," grumbled the overseer, who had transitioned from derision to an ambiguous state of neither friend nor foe over the past month. "However, you peculiar fellow, on your first day here, I could have effortlessly extinguished you with a mere flick of my finger 100 times over. Yet, astonishingly, in just a month's time, my soul-forging whip has proven ineffective against you. Could it be that you, in such a brief period, have transcended your soul power to reach the realm of spirit strength?" The overseer, Ma Mian, muttered in disbelief, labeling Han Yin as an anomaly. But soon his anxiety took hold as he exclaimed, "No, it cannot be. If you truly reached the realm of spirit strength, I should have been able to sense it. Yet, after all this time, I have detected not even a trace of soul power emanating from your body. Damn it, this is truly preposterous." Ma Mian's incessant rambling continued. But on this day, Han Yin found no inclination to retort. Instead, it felt as though an immense weight bore down upon his heart. The desperate gaze of Xiaoshui, as he broke free, relentlessly assaulted his very soul. Han Yin hammered frantically against the azure rock beneath the icy surface, waves of excruciating pain coursing through him. Simultaneously, a mysterious violet luminescence within him grew ever brighter, its flow accelerating. The frigid temperatures and relentless hammering drenched his hands in blood, which trickled down the ice layer. Ma Mian gradually ceased his chatter, finally realizing that the man before him seemed altered today. "Hey, kid, have you gone mad?" he called out, Yet Han Yin remained oblivious, continuing his fervent assault. Under the immense force of his strikes, the azure rock beneath the ice shattered repeatedly, revealing the thick ice layer below. The interplay of ice and azure rock persisted as Han Yin's blood dripped continuously into the ice cavern, which emanated a dark bluish hue. Chapter 7 The Cost. The overseer with a horse's face emitted a peculiar cry, the soul-forging whip in his hands radiating a ghostly white light, striking heavily towards Han Yin's body. Han Yin's violet eyes settled into a calm gaze, locking onto the overseer, and the icy madness within his stare startled even the overseer himself. Haha, kid, I'm doing this for your own good. You nearly fell into madness just now. In truth, it was I who saved your life, the overseer chuckled. Han Yin let out a cold snort, yet the murderous intent in his eyes had entirely dissipated. Indeed, as the overseer mentioned, his bloodlust had momentarily lost its way, and had he continued down that path, he would have faced the peril of succumbing to madness. A highly humanized expression flickered across the overseer's face as he laughed. What's wrong? Did you suffer a heartbreak, or has someone died at home? It's rare to see you so unhinged. However, Han Yin chose to remain unresponsive, which left the overseer feeling somewhat bored. He huffed, "Humph. I was thinking of helping you, but if someone has died, I might be able to lend a hand." "What did you say?" Han Yin suddenly raised his head, a rare glimmer of hope igniting in his eyes. "In the realm of death, does death not signify the dissolution of the soul? Do you possess a method to resurrect the dead?" The overseer was momentarily taken aback. He hadn't anticipated that his careless words would be seized upon by this young man. Yet, out of spite, he chose to ignore Han Yan's inquiry. Han Yan's eyes flared with indignation, but he stifled it and said, "Consider this my plea to you." The overseer was moved. He had come to understand what kind of person Han Yin was over the past month, and today he was surprised to see him humble himself. Thus, he straightened his expression and replied, "Indeed, in the world of death, death signifies the dissolution of the soul. But you must understand, our clan was created by the supreme Tao of death. The aristocrats within our lineage naturally possess an unparalleled skill, spatial traversal. By placing the soul into a spatial rift before its dissolution, it can be preserved for a year. Kid, it seems you really have experienced a death in your family. However, this skill is time-sensitive. If the death exceeds 3 hours, the soul will have completely dissipated, and there will be nothing to be done." A glimmer of hope surged in Han Yan's eyes, oblivious to the peculiar circumstance surrounding him. The Duanxue mountain was already an extremely frigid place, and Han Yan stood at its peak, where the cold was at its most severe. Logically, the wounds he had inflicted upon himself in his frenzy should have long since scabbed over. Yet, strangely, the injuries appeared untouched by healing, as if a mysterious force was drawing his blood, which continued to drip into the dark chasm below. "Where can one find the aristocrats of your clan?" The overseer's expression darkened, and he retorted, "You little brat. Are you blind to the noble aura radiating from Lord Walker standing before you? Damn it. You truly lack insight." At that moment, Han Yin paid no mind to the overseer's words, pressing urgently, "So, does that mean you can also traverse space, preventing the soul from dissipating within a year?" Walker nodded with pride, declaring, "Of course. You must know that I am a rare genius among our clan. Achieving in a short span of time. Tell me, what price must I pay for your assistance?" Han Yin interrupted, lacking the patience to hear Walker's self-aggrandizing declarations. Walker shot him an annoyed glare, stroking his long horse muzzle, yet a sinister smile crept onto his face as he said, "While I, Lord Walker, am indeed a noble, I am still relatively young. Thus, utilizing spatial traversal will deplete quite a bit of my energy. However, after considering it, I seem to lack any substantial desires at the moment." He scrutinized Han Yin's pale visage and tattered attire, adding, "It appears you have nothing of value to offer. So tell me, what can you provide as compensation?" Han Yin gazed quietly at Walker, the pallor on his face, his narrow violet eyes filled with a chilling resolve, stating, "I owe you one wish, which you may claim at any time, excluding my life." Walker's demeanor shifted, his playful facade vanished, and his large horse-like eyes grew serious as he suddenly declared, "Very well, it's a deal." Han Yin was taken aback. After a month of interaction, he had come to realize that this overseer was a formidable character, and he hadn't expected such a swift agreement. "Are you not concerned that I might breach our agreement?" Walker cracked the whip in his hand, chuckling, "Then consider me, Walker, as having been blind." A smile crept onto Han Yan's face as he turned to observe the multitude of overseers on the Duan Mountains, their whips never pausing, mercilessly striking at flesh. A month prior, had Walker not been in the same position? Yet, he had forgotten the day when the sound of Walker's soul-forging whip had ceased altogether. Walker seemed to catch on to Han Yin's thoughts, remarking, "The Tao of Death grants us the right to exist, thus we must fulfill its mission. If you remain like those others, your treatment will be no different from theirs. Remember, we only respect the strong." Strong? Han Yin muttered to himself. Am I strong? You are not strong now, but you will undoubtedly be strong in the future, Walker affirmed with unwavering confidence. Secretly elated at the thought, this kid still owes me a wish. What should I wish for when he becomes powerful? Should I ask him to help me seize the daughter of Duke Florango as a wife, or have him eliminate that damned Romanxy? Unbeknownst to them, Han Yan's wounds began to heal, and at the bottom of the dark chasm, a peculiar purple-white crystal began to melt under the nourishment of his blood. Shortly thereafter, a common nightcat of the abyss of death miraculously emerged. A nightcat encased in ice? However, unlike a typical nightcat, this one was silver-white all over. Yet its paws were adorned with azure fur, appearing notably smaller. Even more intriguingly, its pupils were violet, akin to Han Yan's. After a series of meows, the strange nightcat darted out from the chasm, its purple eyes meeting Han Yan's violet ones. An inexplicable call of the soul stirred within Han Yan's heart. The eyes are windows to the soul, and the moment their mysterious purples connected, a space was created in his long-frozen heart of slaughter. Naturally, the little nightcat leapt onto Han Yan's shoulder, affectionately licking his earlobe, and the Lord of Death seemed to take delight in the cat's affection, leaving Walker wide-eyed in astonishment. Was this man before me the seemingly icy and murderous B-317? And could this white nightcat truly be just a nightcat? It boldly disregarded the ominous aura radiating from Lord Walker. In the end, Walker concluded, this cat must possess 1,000-degree astigmatism and be deaf. Otherwise, any beast below the 4th tier would only bow before Lord Walker. Han Yin stroked the little nightcat on his shoulder, warmth filling his violet eyes as he softly declared, "From now on, your name shall be Xian." The little nightcat seemed to comprehend Han Yan's words, its small head nodding enthusiastically. Within its violet eyes, a human-like understanding conveyed the message, "I shall be called Xian from now on." Han Yin smiled. Since the death of his parents and only brother, he had not tasted the sweetness of familial affection. Yet, unexpectedly, he found a sense of brotherly love in this little cat. The overseer with a horse's face let out a strange cry, the soul-forging whip in his hands emanating a white glow as it struck heavily towards Han Yan's body. Han Yan's violet eyes calmed, fixing their gaze on the overseer, and the icy madness in his expression startled the latter. "Heh, kid, I'm doing this for your own good. You almost lost yourself just now. In fact, I saved your life." Han Yin let out a cold snort, yet the murderous intent in his eyes dissipated completely. Indeed, as he mentioned, his desire for slaughter had just lost its way, and if it continued, he would have been in real danger of succumbing to madness. The overseer's face revealed an exaggeratedly human-like expression as he chuckled. "What's wrong? Heartbroken? Or did someone in your family die? It's rare to see you this unhinged." Yet Han Yin paid him no mind, leaving the overseer feeling rather bored. "Humph, and here I thought I could help you. If someone has died, I might be able to lend a hand. What did you say?" Han Yin suddenly lifted his head, a rare glimmer of hope lighting up his eyes as he asked, "In the realm of death, does death not signify the dispersal of the soul? Do you possess a way to resurrect the deceased?" The overseer was momentarily taken aback. He hadn't anticipated that his careless words would be seized upon by this kid. But out of spite, he chose to dismiss Han Yan's inquiry. Fury surged in Han Yan's eyes, yet he restrained himself with effort, saying, "Let this be my plea." The overseer was moved. He had come to understand Han Yan's character well over the past month and was surprised to see him humble himself today. He straightened his expression and replied, "Indeed, in the world of death, death signifies the dispersal of the soul. However, you must know that our clan is created by the supreme Tao of death, and the noble lineage possesses a unique skill that other races cannot compare to, spatial traversal. By inserting the soul into the cracks of space before it disperses, one can ensure that the soul will not dissipate for a year." Kid, someone really has died in your family, huh? But this skill is time-limited. If the death exceeds 3 hours, the soul has completely dispersed. And then there's nothing that can be done. A glimmer of hope ignited in Han Yan's eyes, yet he remained oblivious to his strange occurrence. The frozen snow mountain was already an extremely cold place, and Han Yan was positioned at the peak of the mountain, the coldest of the cold. Logically, the wounds he had inflicted upon himself through his frenzied hammering should have long since scabbed over. However, peculiarly, his wounds seemed to be under the influence of a mysterious force, showing no signs of healing. while blood continued to drip into the darkened cave below. As if some enigmatic power beneath the icy surface was siphoning off his blood. Where can one find the nobles of your clan? The overseer's expression darkened as he retorted. You dimwit, can't you see that Lord Walker standing before you radiates an air of nobility? Damn, you really lack insight. Yet, at that moment, Han Yin paid no heed to the overseer's words and pressed urgently. So you mean to say you can also traverse space and prevent the soul from dissipating within a year? Walker nodded proudly, of course. You must understand that I am a rare talent among our kind, achieving this in a short time. Tell me, what price would you require to assist me? Han Yin interrupted bluntly, his impatience evident. Walker shot him an annoyed glance, stroking his long horse-like face, but a sinister smile gradually emerged. You must realize, though I am a noble, I am still quite young. Therefore, to execute a single spatial traversal will cost me a significant amount of power. However, upon reflection, it seems I lack for nothing at the moment and have no pressing desires. He scrutinized Han Yan's pale, ragged appearance and added, It appears you have nothing of value to offer. What can you provide as compensation? Han Yin gazed steadily at Walker, the pallor of his face betraying the intensity in his narrow violet eyes, as he proclaimed, I owe you a wish, which you may claim at any time. With the exception of my life. Walker, sensing the gravity of the moment, dropped his playful demeanor. His large horse-like eyes grew serious as he suddenly declared, Very well. It's a deal. Han Yin was taken aback. Over the past month, he had come to understand that this overseer was a formidable character, and he hadn't expected such a swift agreement. Aren't you worried I might go back on my word? Walker flicked his soul-forging whip and laughed. Then consider it my oversight, for I have underestimated you. A faint smile appeared on Han Yan's face as he gazed at the multitude of overseers wielding their whips mercilessly upon the masses, reminiscent of the time a month ago when Walker had been no different. Yet, he had almost forgotten the day when the sound of the whip had ceased altogether. Walker seemed to perceive Han Yan's thoughts and remarked, The Tao of Death grants us the right to exist, and thus we must fulfill its mission. If you continue to act like those people, your treatment will be no better than theirs. Remember, we only respect the strong. Strong? Han Yin murmured to himself. Am I strong? Not at present, but in time, you undoubtedly will be. Walker's voice brimmed with unwavering conviction, and internally he reveled in the thought. This kid still owes me a wish. Once he becomes successful, what should I wish for? Perhaps to have him help me take the Duke of Flango's daughter as my wife, or to have him eliminate that wretched Romanxi. Unbeknownst to them, Han Yan's wounds began to heal, and at the bottom of the darkened cave, a peculiar purple-white crystal started to dissolve, nourished by his blood. In no time, a common night cat from the abyss of death miraculously emerged. A frozen night cat? However, unlike the ordinary night cats, this one was silver-white in color. Yet its paws bore a blue fur, appearing smaller in stature. More intriguingly, its pupils were violet, reminiscent of Han Yan's. After a series of meows, the peculiar night cat leaped out of the cave, its purple eyes locking onto Han Yan's violet gaze. An inexplicable call of the soul emerged within Han Yan's heart. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and the moment those two mysterious purples met, a new space was carved out within his eternally hardened heart of slaughter. Naturally, the little night cat hopped onto Han Yan's shoulder, affectionately licking his earlobe, and it seemed that the Lord of Death also relished this display of intimacy, leaving Walker wide-eyed in astonishment. Was this man truly the same as the cold, murderous B-317 he had known? While the white night cat seemed to disregard the ominous aura radiating from Walker. Ultimately, Walker concluded, this cat must be blind and deaf, otherwise, any spirit beast below the fourth rank would only bow before the likes of Lord Walker. Han Yin gently stroked the little night cat on his shoulder, warmth filling his violet eyes as he softly declared, from now on, your name will be Xian. The little night cat appeared to understand Han Yan's words, its small head nodding repeatedly, and its violet eyes conveyed a human-like message. I will be called Xian from now on. Han Yin smiled. Since the death of his parents and only brother, he had not experienced the warmth of familial affection. Yet unexpectedly, he found a semblance of that brotherly love in this little cat. Chapter 9. The mysterious deceased Walker gazed at the ghostly sun above, his soul-whipping staff vanishing into the void. He addressed Han Yin, saying, 31 days have passed. The malevolent spirit Han Yin has excavated 6,000 pieces of azure rock and is now free from his sentence. Han Yin was momentarily taken aback, looking at Walker, the overseer he had spent 31 days with. Their relationship had evolved from hostility to mutual respect, as Walker imparted the first lesson of the realm of death to him. Enough with that repugnant expression, you little rascal. While I still have time, tell me, where's the person you wish to save? Walker inquired, feigning exasperation. Han Yan's eyes were filled with coldness as he gazed towards the location of Black Blood City, yet deep within, he felt utterly helpless. With 2 7th-tier experts lurking nearby, he feared he would be unable to act despite his resolve. After considerable hesitation, Han Yan ultimately lowered his noble head and said, "The girl is suspended above Black Blood City, surrounded by at least 2 7th-tier experts lying in wait." Han Yan's words etched furrows onto Walker's face. 2 7th-tier experts in Black Blood City weighed heavily on his mind. Originally, Walker belonged to the Horseface clan, the 3rd young master of the Orin family. His status typically exempted him from such tasks. However, a month prior, the clan's elder had unexpectedly summoned him, announcing the impending arrival of a mysterious deceased soul in the realm of death, an event that occurs once every millennium. The so-called mysterious deceased are individuals whose destinies remain unpredictable even to the path of death. Every 1,000 years, a batch of these souls descends into the realm, with their numbers never exceeding 81. Their fates are shrouded in ambiguity. Some achieve greatness while others fade into obscurity, and a final group disappears entirely, vanishing without a trace, becoming a secret of the realm of death. Han Yan, indeed, was one among this current assembly of mysterious deceased. The arrival of these enigmatic souls incites fierce competition among factions, hoping to select the most gifted individuals to enhance their own power. The elder of the Horseface clan, the family's sole prophet, chose Han Yan, an ordinary being from the primitive civilization of Earth. It is understood that individuals from higher civilizations are better equipped to comprehend the nuances of power, a common knowledge in the realm of death. Hence, other factions refrained from approaching Han Yan, granting a semblance of face to the Horseface clan. Walker contemplated deeply, his expression rife with indecision. The elder's directive was to accommodate Han Yan's wishes to foster camaraderie. However, intervening in matters of the realm of death posed a dilemma. The Horseface clan, though uniquely crafted by the path of death, bore the responsibility of supervising souls arriving in the realm after death. As the ghostly month ascended, the whereabouts of the Horseface clan remained another enigma of the realm. Yet, all factions were aware that the clan was far from the feeble entity it appeared to be, created by the path of death itself. The Horseface clan had existed in the realm since the dawn of the path, unmatched by any other faction. Walker let out a long, defiant cry, declaring, "Very well. You little brat, consider this a gesture of goodwill. 2 7th-tier experts are merely a trifle. I have no regard for them." A flicker of confusion crossed Han Yan's eyes. What could possibly motivate Walker to assist him so selflessly? Was it merely the belief that Han Yan would one day become immensely powerful? However, Han Yan's character dictated that he would not dwell on such matters. "My promise remains unchanged. You may claim it at any time," Han Yan replied, his demeanor softening. Regardless of the underlying motives, he owed a debt of gratitude. Walker chuckled heartily. "You're not yet in a position to speak thus, young one. When you possess adequate strength, even if you wish to evade me, I shall doggedly follow in your footsteps. Now, let us proceed to rescue your beloved." "Beloved?" Han Yan managed a wry smile, but this was not the moment for discussions of such matters. He moved swiftly, following Walker toward Black Blood City. At that moment, Ross sat quietly in a small tea house on the western edge of the city, as per Han Yan's instructions, eavesdropping on the murmurs of the crowd. The girl atop the city walls, Xiao Shui, seemed to be on the brink of vanishing from existence. Could the master truly be so heartless? His so-called mysterious master was also his greatest foe. Although Ross's family was not particularly illustrious in the sixth space, they had gained some recognition due to a legendary ancestor, a formidable figure who had perished after a duel with the ruler of the 89th generation of the 6th level of the realm of death. However, the demise of this ancestor had led to a decline in the family's unique arts, and by Ross's father's generation, they could not even sense soul energy. An innocent man suffers for possessing something valuable. The mysterious scroll left behind by this unparalleled ancestor had caught the attention of the current ruler of the space. In one night, the massacre claimed 321 souls of his family, leaving only Ross, the coward, who willingly offered the mysterious scroll to preserve his own life. Fearful of death, Ross chuckled bitterly. Perhaps he truly was, but within his frail body surged a sudden outburst of energy, and his eyes radiated a raw hatred. He had never relinquished a chance to avenge his family. To preserve his life, he had endured humiliation, refraining from meaningless sacrifice. At this thought, Ross's body trembled, and the image of Han Yin flashed before him. A man of immense pride, whose arrogance knew no bounds, yet paradoxically, he was profoundly ordinary. In that moment, Ross realized that Han Yan's decision upon leaving might bear a weight equal to the sorrow he had felt when he had chosen to endure humiliation to survive. Ross's pupils sparkled with newfound determination. Perhaps this gamble was not misplaced. All he needed was patience to await the growth of this mysterious deceased, while he would become his most loyal follower. A thunderous roar attracted the attention of all in Black Blood City towards the Lord's residence. The little girl, once suspended high above, vanished amidst a blinding light. Simultaneously, the figures of the White Ghost and Black Forest appeared atop the residence, their expressions turning ashen. Chase. It seems that the boy possesses unknown powers behind him. If news of this temple affair leaks, our demise will be imminent, they declared, swiftly pursuing southeastward. Cradling Xiao Shui. Han Yin felt a tremor of shock. Walker, who was racing ahead, bore at least 2 severe injuries. Though his surprise attack had been remarkably successful, the wounds he sustained had now become a fatal concern. Chapter 10. Desperation. Walker's soul whispered to him that his strength had reached its limit. How could the power of merely the 5th realm of Qi possibly withstand a coordinated strike from 2 experts of the 7th realm? Yet, for the sake of the Grand Elder's prophetic vision and the perilous plight of the Orin family, Walker resorted to the ancestral secret techniques of the Horse-Faced clan, forcibly awakening the power of his own soul to endure until this moment. However, his vision began to blur, and the snowstorm had commenced, enveloping him in an unexpected chill. The wounds he bore were merely superficial. The true peril lay within, an insidious erosion of his soul. Black Forest and White Ghost, direct descendants of the Ghost King and the Yasha King, wielded soul power imbued with the devouring force of the Celestial Dragon clan. Although the Horse-Faced clan was not a direct lineage of the Path of Death, the 8 clans of the Celestial Dragon, marked by their dragon blood, possessed terrifying capabilities of soul erosion and devouring. Moreover, the 8 clans of the Celestial Dragon far surpassed the Horse-Faced clan, which merely had the inherited secret of spatial traversal. The existence of the Path of Death destined the Horse-Faced clan to be unable to transcend the realm of Qi and reach the domain of life and death. In contrast, the 8 clans of the Celestial Dragon faced no such limitations. Thus, when Walker finally succumbed and fell to the ground, the figures of White Ghost and Black Forest became distinctly visible nearby. Behind them, a multitude of Qi experts from the Black Blood City surged forth. Han Yin, observing the figures amidst the swirling snow, bore an expression of unyielding coldness. Within his purple pupils, a fierce energy began to arise. Once, the Lord of Death had been reduced to a frightened wretch. In his arms, Snow was still unconscious, yet the faintest breath signified that she was at least alive. However, under such harsh conditions, her frail body would likely not endure much longer. Unbeknownst to him, the small nightcat he had taken in, named Xian, was curled upon his injured right shoulder, its head nestled within his clothing, perhaps out of fear of the cold or for some other reason. At that moment, Walker understood that both he and Han Yin had no hope of survival. Yet, rather than despair, a profound sense of tragic valor began to emanate from him. He had completed the task bestowed upon him by the Grand Elder, but regrettably, it seemed that even the Grand Elder's prophetic vision had led to a losing trade this time. Han Yin was suddenly moved, gazing deeply at Walker, a surge of warmth swelling within him. In his past life, after gaining the powers of a demon, he had never comprehended the true feelings of camaraderie forged in adversity. However, at this moment, a small crack began to form in his cold, murderous heart. Supporting the immobile Walker, Han Yin spoke with unwavering determination. If we survive this calamity, you shall be my first friend. Aha, Elder, do you hear that? The Lord of Death and a humble horse-faced man have forged a friendship. And he is my first. Walker's laughter was tinged with both desolation and exhilaration, yet Han Yin distinctly sensed that the final barrier between them had dissolved. Though your wounds are grave, your constitution suggests you should not be so weak. Why do I feel your soul dissipating bit by bit? Han Yin furrowed his brow, a mysterious intuition deepening his understanding of souls. He could even perceive the faint, waning essence of Walker's soul from his gradually chilling body, though the decline was slow. It was inexorable. Walker was momentarily taken aback. Then a look of understanding crossed his eyes as he replied, truly worthy of the Lord of Death, with your current realm. You can detect my soul's fluctuations. He sighed again. The soul attacks cultivated by the 8 clans of the Celestial Dragon possess a potent erosive quality. At my level, I cannot withstand the soul erosion from two 7th-rank masters. Currently, I am employing my clan's secret arts to temporarily slow the erosion, otherwise I would have perished long ago. Han Yin was struck with a jolt of realization and, as if recalling something, he suddenly tore open his garment. Hours earlier, his right shoulder had been shattered and blackened, yet now it had largely healed, the flesh and bone realigning, and the dark scars gradually fading to reveal a soft, purplish glow. At that moment, Xian, the small night cat, flicked its long whiskers, its purple eyes gleaming with pride. This little bit of soul erosion is hardly enough to fill my teeth. How vexing, it has whetted my appetite, but I can no longer feast. Han Yin, engrossed in thoughts, paid no heed to the anthropomorphic expression of his pet. He pondered why, after enduring the combined strike of White Ghost and Black Forest, he had not sensed any soul erosion. Instead, his wounds had healed completely in such a short span of time. Blood. The word flashed through Han Yin's mind. After much contemplation, he could think of no other remedy, deciding to treat it as a desperate gamble. With a swift motion, Han Yin cut his wrist. Crimson blood, tinged with a hint of purple light, flowed without waste into Walker's mouth. Ignoring Walker's furious expression, Han Yin's formidable mental energy began to operate, capturing every fluctuation of Walker's soul. It worked. Han Yin felt an overwhelming joy, even he could not fathom the source of this elation. Yet, at that moment, an unstoppable force surged forth, propelling Han Yin several meters away. Walker felt as though he were immersed in boiling oil, every cell in his body threatening to explode with excruciating pain that nearly rendered him unconscious. "You little rascal, why are you making me drink your blood?" "Ah, it hurts." Staring at Walker, who writhed desperately in the snow, Han Yin was taken aback. Was his judgment flawed? A sudden chill of foreboding washed over him as he caught a glimpse of White Ghost and Black Forest's grim, murderous expressions. Behind him, dozens of Qi experts had encircled him. It seemed there was truly no escape this time. Glimpsing Walker still thrashing on the ground, White Ghost and Black Forest exchanged a brief look of confusion before their gazes settled upon Han Yin. Last night, they had been unable to discern Han Yin's true identity concealed beneath his armor. Now, they were confronted with the sight of this despicable youth who had managed to evade capture. "Clever lad. Last night, I was careless and let you slip away. This time, let us see how you escape my grasp." Black Forest's face darkened further. As the Lord of Blackblood City, he could not allow an intruder to infiltrate his domain, especially one who had overheard such a colossal secret. If the Ghost King learned of this, his position as Lord would surely be at an end. Chapter 11. Struggle. The expression of Han Yin grew increasingly cold amidst the bitter snowfall. In his previous life, he had faced countless perilous situations, and at this moment, his heart, once cold as steel, was racing with fervor. Confronted with such a vast disparity in strength, attempting a desperate escape would be akin to throwing an egg against a rock. Han Yin understood that the two individuals before him sought his demise not out of personal vengeance for intruding upon the Lord's estate to rescue someone, but rather because he had inadvertently overheard a monumental secret. The news of the emergence of the ancient temple, the Sago Palm Temple, which appeared only once every 10,000 years, if leaked, would surely incite a frenzy among all, disrupting their respective masters' plans. Han Yin had never been one to compromise his principles, yet at this moment, he had no desire to perish. There were still many endeavors he wished to pursue, such as annihilating the Black Blood City. With a disdainful snort, Han Yin's eyes glimmered with arrogance as he proclaimed, "Do you truly believe that by killing me, the news of the temple's emergence will remain concealed? It has been 5 hours since last night. Do you have any idea how many people I have informed of this revelation?" His words caused the expressions of the White Ghost and Black Forest to shift dramatically. Indeed, during that span of time, they had mobilized all their forces to search for the injured, yet to no avail. Furthermore, this young man, who had clearly suffered a combined attack from them the previous night, was miraculously healed today. What did this signify? Could it be that he was backed by a clandestine organization even they had not detected? As this thought crossed their minds, the murderous intent that had once surged within them diminished considerably, transforming into contemplation on how to remedy the situation. Sensing the two individual soul fluctuations gradually calming, Han Yin inwardly sighed in relief. No matter how hard the White Ghost and Black Forest racked their brains, they could never fathom that the Han Yin before them was, in fact, a wraith still serving time. It was well known that a person possessing Han Yin's level of power was indeed a master. Achieving such prowess would require centuries of arduous cultivation. Thus, even amidst their search, They had never considered looking on the ice-snow mountain. Boom. In the midst of their deliberations, Walker, who had been howling in the snow, suddenly launched a fierce assault, creating a gap in the tight encirclement as he seized Han Yin and fled. The White Ghost and Black Forest erupted in fury, their murderous intent surging once more. After being outsmarted by this young man last night, could they allow him to escape again? Han Yin, your blood is indeed potent. My cultivation has risen to the 6th stage, and enduring that pain has proven worthwhile. Having reached the 6th stage, I can now traverse spatial realms with others. Those two old men can dream if they think they can pursue us. At this moment, Walker was invigorated, prompting great joy in Han Yin. With a roar, Black Forest and White Ghost, both masters of the 7th stage, solidified their souls. As their essences intertwined, a pair of eerie blood-red eyes seemed to materialize from the void. Simultaneously, the space within 100 feet began to freeze under the crimson glow. Thud! Just as Walker was about to traverse the spatial realm, he was struck as if by an intense beam of sunlight piercing his eyes, and with a cry of anguish, blood began to trickle from his large eyes. Humph! Since the horse-faced clan disregards the Dust Treaty, do not blame us, the Dragonate factions, for being uncivilized. The White Ghost and Black Forest, a demon and a ghost, had executed the combined secret technique of the Dragon faction. Their faces pale, yet their murderous intent even more ferocious. From one of the blood-red eyes, a beam of light as thick as a barrel shot towards the fallen Walker and the motionless Han Yin, frozen within the spatial grip. Han Yin's eyes widened, his violet pupils ablaze with a terrifying glow. At this critical juncture of life and death, the mysterious power within him surged once more. Strands of purple light beginning to coalesce around him. The violet flame resting upon his right shoulder, upon contact with the faint purple glow emanating from Han Yin, erupted with a mysterious light. A disdainful smirk appeared on the feline visage of the violet flame, seemingly mocking the approaching blood-red beam. Indeed, it was an unmistakably human-like sneer of contempt. Was the violet flame merely an ordinary little nightcat? Meow meow. A series of feline cries echoed, and miraculously, the small violet flame, no larger than a palm, moved with astonishing speed, outpacing the encroaching blood-red beam within the frozen space. In an instant, the crimson light vanished completely. Simultaneously, a commanding voice resonated from the void. The Dragon King commands, the Dragon faction boasts. Upon hearing these 8 words, the already pallid faces of the White Ghost and Black Forest turned ashen. Yet, under the formidable authority of the Dragon King's edict, not only they, but even their respective lords would be obliged to show respect. Under the Yasha King, the White Ghost welcomes the envoy. Under the Ghost King, the Black Forest welcomes the envoy. As the envoy's voice echoed, seemingly still miles away, a gaunt, serious-looking elder stepped forth from the void in the blink of an eye. Exchanging glances filled with dread, the two were struck by a greater shock. Clad in green with blood-red eyes, the newcomer was none other than one of the 5 elders of the Dragon King, the Qingso, who presided over the Eastern Iron Law. It was well known that the 5 elders seldom revealed themselves, appearing like a dragon that shows its head but not its tail. Among them, the Qingso, reputed as the foremost, was second only to the Dragon King and the Dragon Clan elders. The mere presence of such a figure here caused both men to feel a deep sense of foreboding. Chapter 12. The Dragon Command. The elderly figure, known as the Blue Elder, cast a sharp glance across the snow-covered expanse, his gaze falling upon Walker, momentarily taken aback. Yet, he swiftly redirected his attention to Han Yin, a peculiar discomfort washing over him as if he were stripped bare. However, when he attempted to probe the fluctuations of the Blue Elder's soul, a sudden jolt of agony surged through his mind upon mere contact with the Elder's form, eliciting a sound of astonishment from the Blue Elder himself. What an odd young man. Indeed fascinating, the Blue Elder mused, leaving Han Yin and the Black Ghost perplexed. Even Han Yin, despite his ignorance of the greater world, sensed that this elder was likely the most formidable master he had encountered since entering this realm of death. Ignoring the 2 formidable figures before him, the Blue Elder coldly remarked, over the years, while the 8 divisions nominally respect the Dragon King, since his retreat a millennium ago, the remaining 7 factions have engaged in covert strife, each coveting the throne of the 8 divisions. Within the 6th space, the Yasha King and the Ghost King are particularly notorious, openly defying the Dragon King's commands. Were it not for the Dragon King's relentless suppression, the 5 elders would have long since besieged them. The Black Ghost and Black Forest found themselves in a precarious position. Logically, with the Dragon King's edict and the presence of the 5 elders, they should have been too intimidated to voice any dissent. Yet, Han Yin was acutely aware that the emergence of the Sula Temple, with its specified time and location, marked them as targets. If the Blue Elder were to seize him today, their own heads might not remain upon their shoulders come tomorrow. Why are you still here? Do you wish for me to escort you out? The Blue Elder's eyes, which had seemed ordinary moments before, now glowed a fierce crimson, fixating coldly on the black ghost and black forest. With the emergence of the red light, the atmosphere thickened with a palpable sense of impending doom. The Blue Elder's fearsome reputation had echoed through the ages, renowned even in the realm of death. Black Forest swallowed hard, his face a mask of grievance. Elder Ching, if you were to personally intervene, I would not object to bringing along 100 or 1,000 individuals. However, this young man is a marked criminal, the target of both the king and the Yasha king. Humph, do not invoke the Yasha and Ghost Kings to intimidate me, even if they stood before me today. I would still take this young man with me. The Blue Elder's domineering nature rendered further discussion unnecessary. With a casual wave of his hand, a long fissure in space materialized, and before Han Yin could comprehend the situation, Walker's figure vanished into its depths. Han Yin's expression turned icy. Despite only having known Walker for a brief month, he had grown to value their friendship greatly. Now, with Walker's fate uncertain, he was whisked away by this enigmatic elder. In a rare moment of explanation, a hint of a smile graced the Blue Elder's face. Han Yin remained impassive. To him, the Dragon King and the Ghost King were simply powerful figures, nothing more. While he ought to feel grateful to the so-called Dragon King for saving his life, the condescending air surrounding the figure left him deeply unsettled. Let us go. Recognizing the futility of resistance, Han Yin resolved to conserve his energy and bide his time. The Black Ghost and Black Forest watched helplessly as the Blue Elder and Han Yin faded into the swirling snow, desperately concocting various justifications in hopes of shifting blame and responsibility onto the Elder. As they soared through the air, the Blue Elder's speed remained astonishing, compelling Han Yin to bury his discontent deep within, his cold demeanor unchanged. At his current level, he was utterly incapable of discerning the true strength of this formidable elder. But as the foremost of the 5 elders, he likely possessed unparalleled prowess at the brink of life and death. Little Purple Flame continued to doze upon Han Yin's shoulder, seemingly overwhelmed by the corruptive power emanating from the bloodthirsty eye of the 2 7th-tier masters. Its insatiable appetite had driven it into an early slumber. Han Yin gently stroked Purple Flame's pristine fur, a warm sensation blossoming within him, though he had not witnessed the moment when Purple Flame devoured the bloodthirsty eye. Its speed had astonished him, truly a curious little night creature. The Blue Elder observed Han Yin, whose eyes were now half closed, his own gaze increasingly filled with intrigue. Receiving the Dragon King's sudden summons, instructing the 5 elders to seek 4 humans from the lower civilization of Earth within the abyss of death, had left him bewildered. The 5 elders held esteemed positions, rivaling even the kings of the other 7 factions. Yet, he had not anticipated the Dragon King would mobilize them for such a task, suggesting these 4 individuals were indeed extraordinary. Despite lacking the power of soul cultivation, this young man's innate strength had astonishingly reached the 5th tier of soul power, a rarity the Blue Elder had not encountered in millennia. The Blue Elder marveled inwardly. Earth, the soul civilization within the Milky Way, had produced its share of prodigies over the past 5,000 years, such as Xiangyu, who achieved the 2nd tier of life within just over 2,000 years, and Lu Bu and Zhao Yun, who reached the 9th tier of death, along with Li Yuanba, who attained the 6th tier of death in a mere 1,000 years. However, even these individuals had followed the conventional path of soul cultivation, advancing step by step. Yet Han Yin had shattered the mold of thousands of years of cultivation methodology. Could this be the reason my king seeks him? Chapter 13. Pre-war. As twilight descended, the venerable elder finally came to a halt in Moonlight City, the most prosperous of the 9 cities within the abyss of death, situated a considerable distance from Black Blood City. Xuer had awakened. Yet the once bright and clear brilliance of her eyes had faded, particularly when she gazed upon Han Yin, her expression filled with a sense of unfamiliarity. The moment when Han Yin had abandoned her had left an indelible mark on her tender heart. This frail little girl, having endured a series of tribulations, seemed to have acquired a semblance of strength, albeit at the cost of something far more precious. Fortunately, the charming visage of Zi Yin provided Xuer's once vacant gaze with a flicker of solace. At that moment, Zi Yin nestled in Xuer's embrace, seemingly relishing the warmth of their bond. The elder brought Han Yin into a luxurious hotel, its dragon emblem in the upper left corner signifying that it was part of the Dragon King's domain. Greetings, Elder Ching. A refined middle-aged man saluted the elder, his gaze shifting towards Han Yan. A hint of a smile appeared on the elder's serious face as he approached the man, patting him on the shoulder. "Ah, Long San, it's been years since we last met, and you've made another breakthrough. Quite impressive, far surpassing my own offspring, ha ha ha." A warm smile graced Long San's gentle face as he humbly replied, "You jest, elder. Brother Qingfeng achieved the 7th layer of the Death Realm a decade ago and distinguished himself at the Tianlong Alliance 5 years past, overshadowing all competitors. Long San still has much to learn." After a brief pause, Long San turned his attention back to Han Yan. "If I am not mistaken, you must be the brother Han that our master spoke of. I am Long San, the 3rd disciple under the Dragon King." Han Yan glanced at Long San, recognizing him as yet another formidable expert. The vast disparity in their power levels rendered any judgment on Long San impossible. A fleeting moment of despondency flickered in his eyes. In recent days, he was once again reminded of the sense of defeat he had experienced in his past life. It was as though he were merely an ordinary university student, powerless as his parents and only sister were slain overnight, that feeling of helplessness washing over him anew. Han Yan. The cold utterance of his name did not diminish the smile on Long San's face. It seemed he had anticipated Han Yan's reaction. Yet, there was an involuntary glimmer of astonishment upon Long San's countenance. "Though devoid of soul energy fluctuations, you possess strength at least at the 5th tier of soul power. Indeed, Brother Han is not an ordinary individual. I hope your stay in Tianlong City is a pleasant one." A mysterious smile danced at the corners of Long San's mouth, exuding a confidence that took Han Yan aback. Han Yan's body tensed. No matter how well he concealed his aura, the stark contrast in their powers ultimately laid his strength bare, a sensation he utterly detested. "Someone, escort Brother Han to room Twinsy number 3 and provide him with the utmost hospitality." A beautiful and pure fox girl attendant responded affirmatively and led Han Yan and Shuej away. Long San watched Han Yan's upright figure depart, sighing, "Our master has chosen to sever ties with the Ghost King Yasha this time. The 6th space shall find no tranquility henceforth. Elder Qing, one of the Ghost King's 2 agents, He Wuchang, has already appeared in Moonlight City. It seems a fierce battle is on the horizon." He Wuchang the Elder's expression shifted dramatically, for this figure was renowned as the Ghost King's right-hand man, possessing strength that rivaled his own. "What are the other 4 elders?" Long San recounted the situation of the remaining 4 elders, the smile on his face gradually fading. The Dragon King's recent actions had thoroughly alienated the various factions within the 6th space, even encroaching upon the 7th space. The master of the Death Mine, the Lion King from the Deep Blue Galaxy, was equally powerful, perhaps even surpassing the Dragon King. Long San could not comprehend why their typically low-profile master would deviate so drastically from his usual demeanor merely for the sake of these 4 humans from a lower civilization. Noticing the look of confusion on Long San's face, Elder Qing remarked, "Do not question the king. His decisions are undoubtedly profound. Besides, is this not what we have longed to see? The 8 factions of Tianlong, with the Dragon King at the helm, have been disregarded by the other 7 factions for far too long. This is an opportunity to re-establish the might of our Dragon Clan and remind them who truly reigns supreme in the 6th space." Upon hearing this, Long San's eyes sparkled with a fervent light. Indeed, the Tianlong clan had languished in silence for far too long, forgotten like the illustrious reputation of the Dragon King who once led the 8 factions in battle across the realms. However, a chilling image of He Wuchang crept into Long San's mind, sending shivers down his spine as he voiced, "Elder Qing, I have heard that He Wuchang has recently broken through to the 4th layer of the life realm. He may be intent on claiming Han Yan for himself this time." Elder Qing scoffed, his eyes glowing with a fierce determination, though He Wuchang has reached the 4th tier of the life realm. I am at the peak of the 3rd tier and on the cusp of a breakthrough myself. It won't be so easy for him to snatch anyone from my grasp. Han Yan stood quietly before the expansive glass window, the ghostly light of the moon casting a faint glow upon him. Everything outside felt both vividly real and distant. Was this the world of death or the realm of reality? And who was he, Han Yan, or the dread Lord of Death that sent shivers through the hearts of mortals? He seemed to see himself abandoning her, vanishing beneath the ghostly moon, as the beacon of hope within him flickered out. It felt as though he were suspended atop that terrifying and forbidding wall, the cold wind and oppressive darkness leaving an indelible shadow upon his heart. Turning away, his face beneath the ghostly moon bore an eerie expression, yet his violet eyes shimmered with a peculiar light. He gently approached Shuer, enveloping her tightly in his embrace. For a moment, her body stiffened, but gradually she relaxed, though her gaze remained somewhat vacant. Han Yin sighed, the events of one night weighing heavily upon his heart, leaving him adrift. Even now, he found himself at a crossroads. Had it not been for Walker's sudden appearance, would he have chosen to save Shuer? His rational mind dictated that he would not, for even venturing into the Lord's estate was the extent of his limits. Yet, why did the mere recollection of Shuer's despairing eyes cause his heart to falter and ache? Perhaps Shuer's eyes reminded him of his long-lost sister. This was Han Yan's rationale, perhaps a form of evasion, yet he understood deeply that in this moment, he had become a marionette, his every move no longer his own. Those formidable forces had paved a path before him, and he was still not ready to forge a new one. Chapter 14. Awakening, better to be shattered like jade than to remain whole like tile. Such a notion may be deemed foolish. Yet it is evident that Han Yin is no fool. Shuer, I am deeply sorry. Han Yin felt a profound sense of despondency. Yet the urge for slaughter within him began to wane imperceptibly. I shall never abandon you again. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me this once? In his violet eyes, warmth and affection radiated as he gazed intently at little Shuer, whose bright eyes now appeared somewhat vacant. Shuer's frail form trembled noticeably, and a flush of excitement surged across her pale face, her eyes shimmering with tears. Clutching Han Yin's arm tightly, she cried out, "Both my parents are dead, and even Brother Han refuses to save me. Why? Why?" This 12-year-old girl vented her anguish upon Han Yin, who responded with a gentle smile, allowing her to fully express her grievances. "From now on, you shall be my sister, and your name will be Han Shui." A fleeting memory of his own sister's innocent visage danced before his eyes, and in the blurriness of his vision, Shui seemed to meld with the image of his sister. Han Shui, such a lovely name. Yes, from now on, Shui will be known as Han Shui, and I shall be her true brother. Ultimately, the youthful heart of Shui shone through. Her usual vivacity dispelled any shadows of doubt she held against Han Yin. In this moment, her brother remained the most dependable refuge. However, the visage of her parents flickered through her mind, and she lamented that she had not even offered a stick of incense at their graves, nor did she know where they lay. As Han Yin listened to Shuer, his expression remained serene, yet inside, memories from his past life surged tumultuously. At 19, he was an ordinary university student with a warm family, a beloved sister, and a girlfriend. All of this harmony and joy shattered overnight, leaving him in a hellish despair marked by the tragic deaths of his parents and sister, casting a colossal shadow over his existence. After a month of despondency, his so-called girlfriend had found solace in another's arms. The meaning of life seemed to evaporate, rendering existence utterly meaningless. Thoughts of suicide haunted him. Perhaps it would bring liberation. Yet, at the moment he prepared to plunge into the abyss, an ancient and mysterious power dormant within him awakened, a force as formidable as the primordial chaos itself, a strength capable of reshaping existence. Igniting a madness within Han Yin. Through relentless trials, his heart, once veiled in darkness, grew deeper in concealment, while this mysterious power gradually transformed his extraordinary physique, earning him the notorious title of Death Sovereign. In a mere 3 years, a dark lord rose like a comet in the night sky, the legend of the Death Sovereign shocking the world. Han Yin recalled his final massacre, storming the lair of a nefarious organization, ruthlessly eliminating its leader and 137 accomplices, igniting global uproar. Yet, after this bloodbath, he felt an overwhelming fatigue, standing silently amidst the carnage, blood staining the ground for miles, as fearful onlookers dared not approach to apprehend him. A cold, cruel smile emerged on Han Yin's lips, his disdain enough to make the masses bow in submission. Over the span of 3 years, his heart had been utterly obscured by hatred, the thirst for bloodshed manipulated by the mysterious power, seeming no longer entirely his own. Yet, where did this power originate, and what manner of existence was it? In this moment of clarity, Han Yin finally unlocked the heart he had sealed for 3 long years. A faint smile graced his lips as he approached the vast glass before him, gazing into the reflection, questioning, who truly controlled me for these 3 years? And forged the name of the Death Sovereign, you or I? His fervor ignited, the icy heart of slaughter seemed to shatter, and for the first time, his soul emerged clearly within the depths of his being. A gentle yet overwhelming power began to flow through him, nurturing his once fragile body. For the first time, Han Yin genuinely grasped the mysterious power within him. His spiritual transformation elevated this once cold force of slaughter to a higher dimension. "Brother," Shui called softly, tugging at Han Yin's sleeve, her beautiful, pure face etched with confusion. "Brother, you seem different from before." Tilting her little head thoughtfully, she soon broke into a smile. "But I like the current you better. You're not as cold as before." Han Yin smiled in return, the metamorphosis of his heart allowing him to seize control of the power within. His confidence renewed, he understood that even in this realm of death, his fate remained firmly in his own hands. In a past life, he transformed from an ordinary student into the formidable Death Sovereign. Now, reclaiming this power, he would spread his renown throughout the land of the dead, becoming its true sovereign. Just as Han Yin became lost in contemplation, the once slumbering purple flame nestled in Shue's embrace suddenly opened its eyes, its white fur standing on end, fixating intently on the left side of the room. A gasp of surprise echoed as, under Han Yin's watchful gaze, a figure materialized from the void, clad in black hat and cloak, with skin as dark as night. And wielding a funerary staff, the black-clad figure, one of the formidable duo known as the Black and White Impermanence under the Ghost King, had finally arrived. Chapter 15. The Ultimate Showdown. Han Yin gazed intently at the figure before him, his heart undergoing a transformation that rendered all superficial emotions hidden beneath the surface. As he began to grasp the mysterious power within him, he also found the martial arts techniques best suited to him emerging simultaneously. Within the realm of death, all souls were diminished, causing practitioners to cultivate their spiritual strength to nurture their essence, solidifying their souls. At this moment, Han Yin diligently honed his physical strength, refining his sinews, bones, and flesh from the outside in. Under the cleansing of the mysterious power, there was an implicit sense of unity between his soul and spirit. Soul sealing. This technique could not only lock his own soul domain, preventing Han Yin from being easily discerned by others, but it could also be wielded to confine the soul power of his opponents. He Wuchang's initial gaze was directed towards the purple flame in Shue's hands. Despite being one of the formidable Ghost Kings renowned throughout the world, he couldn't help but feel a spark of curiosity towards the purple flame. Though the white night cats were rare, they were ultimately the weakest ghost beast within the realm of death. Yet, the four-legged creature before him, adorned with faint azure fur, had detected his presence the moment he stealthily entered this room, leaving him utterly astounded. He prided himself on his stealth techniques, believing that even a master of the fifth realm would struggle to uncover him. However, the sight of this small night cat piqued his curiosity. Yet, when he turned his gaze towards Han Yin, his inky black eyes widened in surprise. With his fourth realm strength, he could rank among the top 10 within the sixth death space. Yet he found himself unable to discern Han Yan's soul realm, the very target of their king's personal pursuit. There could be but two explanations. Either this newcomer to the realm of death had yet to comprehend soul power, though intelligence suggested Han Yin possessed at least fifth realm strength, which posed a conundrum. Thus, the only remaining explanation was that Han Yan's unique cultivation technique allowed him to conceal his true prowess beyond conventional bounds. As this realization washed over him, a flicker of understanding crossed his dark visage, though any expression on his pitch-black face was imperceptible. Regarding the matter of the Soul Temple, our king no longer pursues it. He Wuchang, under the command of our king, requests that young Master Han proceed to Ghost King City, he rasped, his voice hoarse yet imbued with an unusual resonance, as if the air within the room was flowing in layers, creating a peculiar vacuum between Han Yin and He Wuchang. Han Yin was taken aback. The Ghost King had indeed chosen to overlook the leak of information regarding the temple, which was entirely unexpected. Yet, a question lingered in his mind. When did he become the coveted prize pursued by the two titans of the sixth death space? What motives lay behind their interest in him? With a faint smile, he cradled Shue's petite form and inquired, having arrived in the realm of death for merely a month, I find it perplexing why both the Ghost King and the Dragon King extend such warm invitations for me to visit. Senior He, could you perhaps shed light on this enigma troubling my mind? He Wuchang's brow furrowed slightly. His current mission was to avoid direct confrontation with the old monster Qing So, who had lingered at the third realm for millennia. Although he had recently ascended to the fourth realm, he suspected that Qing So would not be far behind in strength. Furthermore, with Long San, one of the Dragon King's most outstanding disciples, present, a confrontation between the two could easily lead to mutual destruction. The command of our king must hold profound significance. I am also uncertain, but upon reaching Ghost King City, I believe our king will provide you with satisfactory answers. He Wuchang replied, his demeanor evasive. Suddenly, a flicker of darkness flashed in his eyes, and with a wave of his sleeve, he declared, the old monster Qing and the brat Long San are already en route. Young Master Han, allow me to escort you. Han Yin felt a pang of helplessness. Yet the sense of despondence that once clouded his heart had dissipated. He Wuchang and Qing So were ancient beings who had survived countless eons. Though he was still unable to contend with them, He firmly believed that given time, his accomplishments would rival theirs. Old Black Ghost, since you have arrived, why not take a moment to catch up with old friends? To depart in such haste would surely invite ridicule upon my Dragon King's followers for poor hospitality, he remarked. In that moment, Qing So and Long San had already positioned themselves before He Wuchang. In terms of speed, the Dragon King's faction was not one to be outdone. He Wuchang halted, a thin veil of black mist rising around him, enveloping Han Yin and Shui. His voice turned cold as he spoke. The Dragon King seems rather greedy, having captured 3 of the 4 mysterious souls from Earth. Do you intend to deny our king the last? At this moment, Qing So's heart roiled with tumultuous emotion. 1,000 years prior, He Wuchang had shared his peak strength at the Third Realm, yet now he found himself unable to fathom him. In the silent spiritual contest, he felt an insidious sense of humiliation creeping in, igniting the flames of battle within the unyielding Qing So, who had never known defeat. Enough of your prattle. If you can keep this old bone of mine here today, you may take the rest, Qing So declared, his eyes tinged with crimson, signaling his imminent plunge into the realm of slaughter. Though he was the Eastern Elder of the Dragon King's faction, Qing So also held the title of Execution Elder within the Celestial Dragonate factions, wielding the power of life and death. With bloodshot eyes, the promise of violence loomed. And as He Wuchang's power surged, the atmosphere thickened with tension. The morning staff in his hand shimmered ominously, transforming into 2 beams of dark, consuming energy that hurtled toward Qing So and Long San. A sword emerged, seemingly slicing through the void, tainted by the ghostly moon's chill and the blood's vibrant hue. The sacred sword of blood, driven by will, intercepted the dark blasts. With the sword raised, the celestial dragon manifests. By the name of the Eastern faction, I summon the Azure Dragon. A solemn and profound incantation escaped Qing So's lips, as the tranquil eastern night sky erupted with tempestuous winds. A resounding roar echoed through the heavens as a massive azure dragon, stretching hundreds of feet, surged forth, its eyes wide open and its roar directed at He Wuchang. A fierce cry erupted from He Wuchang's lips, his fury ignited, utterly unprepared for Qing So's desperate, all-out attack, the ultimate move, the Azure Dragon's judgment. In his moment of distraction, he could not even call upon his own sacred beast, the Hellhound, and had no choice but to confront the onslaught with the power he had painstakingly cultivated for thousands of years. The staff in He Wuchang's grasp created countless phantoms as he moved at blinding speed, each shadow appearing as a spectral form charging recklessly towards the formidable Azure Dragon. Yet, the strength of the Eastern Divine Beast was not to be trifled with. Upon contact, the spectral forms disintegrated into dust. Nevertheless, the relentless tide of spirit surged forth. And for a moment, the Azure Dragon found it challenging to eradicate them all, granting He Wuchang the precious time needed to summon his Hellhound. Lines of black energy intertwined in the void, forming an intricate array, invoking the secret technique of the Ghost King's faction, the most loyal companion, summoned by He Wuchang, the Hellhound. A rift in space appeared above He Wuchang, and from the black whirlpool emerged a colossal 3-headed beast, each head possessing its own distinct essence, one fierce, one gentle, and the last cunning. The trio of heads bestowed upon the Hellhound immense, enigmatic power, making it a worthy adversary against the Azure Dragon. Guarding the 9th layer of the death space, Han Yin watched in astonishment as these legendary beasts, seemingly pulled from myth, clashed in the skies. For a moment, he was rendered speechless, while Shui felt a twinge of fear. Nestled against Han Yin's chest, she found solace in his warmth. The battle between the 2 extraordinary creatures captivated her, a mixture of curiosity overshadowing her trepidation. Only the purple flame, nestled upon the shoulder of snow, displayed an unmistakable disdain upon witnessing the clash between the Azure Dragon and the Hellhound. Despite the resplendent violet glow emanating from the cat's eyes, it seemed baffling that this lowly nocturnal creature would regard the titanic struggle between divine beasts with such contempt. Indeed, it was a remarkable display of arrogance for a mere night cat from the realm of death to belittle the battle of gods. With an indifferent yawn, the purple flame glanced at the still-dazed Han Yin and Han Shui, shaking its head in boredom as a twinge of hunger stirred within. The icy layers of the Dushui mountain had slumbered for untold years until Han Yin's blood roused it from its slumber. And now it craved energy to replenish its weakened form. A wisp of dark energy wafted into its nostrils. And upon seeing the shroud of black mist conjured by the Grim Reaper, an exhilarating light ignited in its feline eyes. With a jubilant meow, the purple flame darted forth, voraciously consuming the black mist, a dark prison forged from the Reaper's essence. Meanwhile, Long San and Qing So joined forces to withstand the formidable and terrifying onslaught of the Grim Reaper. In this fierce contest, countless spatial rifts were torn asunder, with the trio weaving through various dimensions in search of vulnerabilities. Yet, despite their combined efforts, they could merely maintain a precarious stalemate. Complete victory over the Grim Reaper seemed an insurmountable task. The Grim Reaper, too, silently lamented. For each clash of his morning staff against the Bloodsword bore an inherent fatalistic pressure. Had his spiritual realm not surpassed that of Qing So, he might have already faced defeat. Long San, the third disciple of the Dragon King, was indeed extraordinary, likely having ascended to the 7th tier of the Death Realm. A pinnacle among the younger generation. Even among the ranks of the Ghost King, only his eldest disciple, Tian Hua, could rival him. For a time, the Azure Dragon and Hellhound battled fiercely in the skies, while on the ground, the Grim Reaper and the duo maintained a deadlock, likely leading to mutual destruction. But then, a piercing agony suddenly assailed the Grim Reaper's soul, a torment akin to having one's essence forcibly severed, a pain even he struggled to endure. His gaze shifted, only to witness the last remnants of his true essence binding being devoured by the purple flame. Enraged, a murderous intent surged within him. This essence had taken millennia to cultivate, and he had crafted the prison to ensnare Han Yin precisely, because even higher-tiered experts would find it impenetrable. This allowed him to confront Qing So and Long San without concern. Yet, to his astonishment, a mere night cat had audaciously consumed nearly 1/10 of his essence, plunging him into a frenzy. With a thunderous roar, the Grim Reaper's killing intent peaked. Die, he bellowed, disregarding the concealed Qing So and Long San, forcibly elevating his spiritual realm. A heavy pressure enveloped the surrounding space, as an invisible black radiance ensnared all within hundreds of feet. Domain. Qing So's voice betrayed a mix of terror and excitement. This madman was desperate. Little Sanzi, if we somehow survive, it will lead to an unforeseen enhancement of our realms. The light of the ghostly moon turned a ghastly white as the Grim Reaper underwent a drastic transformation, his blackened eyes and face abruptly shifting to a pallid hue. Without any embellishment, he split his morning staff in two and struck fiercely at Qing So and Long San. Within the confines of his domain, the Grim Reaper's powers were augmented, temporarily compensating for the loss of his essence, while Qing So and Long San found their speed and strength diminished. Forced to confront this onslaught head-on, with a resounding crash, all within the vicinity was reduced to dust, and the Grim Reaper, along with Qing So and Long San, were sent reeling, evidently suffering severe injuries. In Han Yan's eyes, an insatiable thirst for power flickered. The conflict among these three had ignited an unparalleled yearning within him. Even in his past life, he had only approached Long San's level of strength, yet the might of Qing So and the Grim Reaper transcended his wildest imagination. As he pondered this, a mysterious force surged violently within him, clamoring for recognition. Amidst this peculiar atmosphere, a faint silhouette emerged, and before Han Yin could react, he succumbed to unconsciousness. Who? Came the sharp exclamations from Qing So and the Grim Reaper. However, by the time they turned to look, the figure had vanished into the vast darkness of the night. Chapter 16. The Divine Calamity in the Vast, Ancient Chaos. The universe was merely a realm of black and white energies rising and falling, enveloped in a tranquil and serene ambience. Han Yin lay in a deep slumber, until one fateful day he awoke. His violet eyes sparkled, and the swirling black and white energies around him seemed to dance with excitement, stirring the cosmos into a whirlpool of chaos. As he surveyed the surroundings, a profound sense of loneliness and desolation, as if ingrained in his very being over countless millennia, washed over his nascent heart. Simultaneously, he discovered that his true essence was that of a solitary star, the celestial star of calamity, hanging high above the 9 heavens, radiating a unique purple glow. Suddenly, Han Yin opened his eyes wide, and to his astonishment, he found himself in his familiar form, limbs intact, not yet transformed into the solitary star. After 3 days, you have finally awakened. A deep, resonant male voice roused him from his reverie, prompting him to take in his surroundings. The redwood window bars, the purplewood bed, the snowwood table all exuded a vintage charm that enveloped Han Yin in warmth. Upon shifting his gaze to the man who had spoken, an inexplicable bloodline connection stirred within him, bringing him to the brink of tears. The man, with his long black hair, dark eyes, and fair skin, clad in a flowing white robe, resembled the celestial beings depicted in ancient texts. Indeed, he was a celestial figure, ethereal and untainted by the mortal realm, reminiscent of the deities from Chinese mythology. Who are you? Han Yin, shedding all pretense, asked directly, his eyes betraying an overwhelming emotion. The man in white smiled gently, an otherworldly aura enveloping him as he shook his head, saying, "I am startled. Your answer was entirely unexpected." His refined countenance flickered with disappointment and confusion, before he sighed deeply. "The will of heaven is inscrutable. Am I to wait yet another millennium? Lu Dongbin? Lu Dongbin?" Han Yan's expression shifted dramatically. This name was steeped in legend, the foremost among the 8 immortals of antiquity, a mythological figure. Yet why was he here? Observing Han Yan's reaction, Lu Dongbin appeared to comprehend. For over the centuries, he had heard countless tales of himself from various sources. He understood that for modern individuals like Han Yan, the concept of celestial beings was utterly implausible. The advancements in science and the severance of spatial connections rendered the existence of deities in the mortal realm inconceivable. Do not be astonished. As you surmise, I am indeed Lu Dongbin from the Tang dynasty. You will understand everything once you peruse this jade slip. With a grand gesture, Lu Dongbin produced a jade slip shimmering with azure light, stating, "Input your soul power to access its contents." Soul power? Han Yin hesitated, struggling to grasp why everyone in this realm seemed to cultivate soul power alone. Even Lu Dongbin, who shared a common ancestry, appeared to practice it. Yet, why was he still oblivious to the essence of soul power? Lu Dongbin, observing Han Yan's bewilderment, expressed his astonishment. "I perceive you possess at least 5th-tier soul power. How can you be unaware of it?" Han Yan chuckled awkwardly. He once believed himself to be a formidable entity, but despite the age-old tales of deities in China, the masses had largely relegated them to mere spiritual beliefs under the auspices of technological advancement. Yet, to his astonishment, he now encountered a true celestial being, which diminished his pride as a Chinese man. "Lu, immortal, I truly do not comprehend soul power. Having spent a month in the realm of death, I have only tempered my body and remain ignorant of how to cultivate soul power. As for the 5th-tier soul power you mentioned, I am utterly clueless." Lu Dongbin regarded Han Yin as if he were a curiosity, circling him in disbelief. While practitioners from Earth have unique approaches to cultivating soul power, your situation is beyond my understanding. You possess 5th-tier power, yet exhibit no detectable soul fluctuations. Truly a marvel. From now on, simply call me Brother Lu. Immortal is too grand a title for anyone here. Employing his soul power, Lu Dongbin imparted the knowledge contained within the jade slip into Han Yan's consciousness, unveiling the nature of his surroundings and stirring tumultuous waves within his heart. The realm of death, the ultimate destination for all living beings, encompassed the entirety of existence. The vastness of the universe remains an enigma beyond human comprehension. However, this realm of death encompasses all beings within the cosmos. Do immortals truly face death? And if so, where do they go thereafter? Before the Tang dynasty, the answer was that immortals did not perish but coexisted with heaven and earth. Yet, following the demise of the last Tang emperor, Aid Li Yin, at the hands of Zhu when in 907 AD, the 20 emperors of the Tang dynasty faded from existence, and the world transformed, immortals vanished. For reasons unknown, all practitioners on Earth were drawn into an expansive space, severed from the terrestrial realm by unfathomable forces. This vast expanse was the realm of death, teeming with countless cosmic beings. As practitioners from a lower civilization, the Chinese immortals truly experienced the essence of power here, an overwhelming force that rendered them mere shadows, unable to emerge from their secluded corners. Legendary figures such as Niuhua, Fuxi, the great archer Ho Yi, and the esteemed Laozi, among many other unparalleled powerhouses, fell in relentless battles, their death symbolizing the complete dissolution of their souls and the obliteration of their millennia of cultivation. Shock, terror, resentment, and anger filled the hearts of the immortals. Yet the stark disparity in power forced them to confront the grim reality. Thus, they settled in this 7th space, awaiting the emergence of the prophesied deity who would guide the myriad gods of Huaxia back to their former glory, as foretold by Niuhua and Fuxi before their demise. In this mysterious assembly of 81 deceased beings, 4 enigmatic souls from Earth emerged in this lower civilization. This revelation ignited excitement among the gods, for perhaps the prophesied deity was among them. However, the gods of Huaxia, trapped in the 8th space of death, were clearly not favored by the will of the heavens. Although one of the 81 mysterious souls appeared in their midst, it was not one of the 4 earthlings they had hoped for. When they learned of the locations of these 4 individuals, the Dragon King had already acted, seizing the 4 earthly souls, leaving the Huaxia gods in dismay. Though merely a millennium had passed in the mortal realm, the gods had lingered in this realm of death for a full 10,000 years. After millennia of bloodshed and strife, they had finally established a foothold in the eighth space of death. Yet their pride and superiority made it difficult for them to accept this outcome. Beyond fervent cultivation, the prophesied deity foretold by Nuwa and Fushi became their sole beacon of hope. Thus, it can be said that this time, the myriad deities of Huaxia have mobilized nearly half of their strength, with the primordial heavenly sovereign and the master Tontian at the helm, leading a total of 63 golden immortals from the Chan and Jie schools to forcibly tear apart 2 layers of space. Advancing towards the city of death where the Dragon King resides, Han Yin was fortuitously rescued by Zhao Gongming, a golden immortal of the Jie school, who inadvertently followed behind the Black Wuchang, seizing the opportunity to save him after the 2 adversaries, Black Wuchang and the Elder Long San, mutually inflicted grievous wounds upon one another. Nevertheless, even in their weakened states, upon discovering their common foe, Black Wuchang and Elder Long San pursued relentlessly, causing Zhao Gongming to suffer significant soul damage. The soul-corroding power of the dragon in 8 parts is a formidable force, even within the realm of death. Compounded by Zhao Gongming's desperate act of tearing through 2 layers of space to escape. Thus, at this moment, the Emperor Ziwei is tending to his injuries. Han Yin felt a dryness in his throat. He had previously regarded the formidable beings within this realm of death as exceptionally powerful, convinced that given time, he would surely surpass them. Yet, at this moment, he realized he had perhaps been overly arrogant. Could it be that your strength is truly so feeble? According to my knowledge, the realm of death is divided into 19 layers, each vast and expansive. And beyond these 19 layers lies the even more extensive realms of the Death Paradise and the Death Hell. Is it possible that with your abilities, you can only cling to a mere burial ground in a state of survival? Chapter 17. Bloodline. Han Yin found himself momentarily disoriented, realizing in that instant how insignificant he had become, unable to resist even the lofty deities above him. As a mere mortal, what could he possibly achieve? The countenance of Lu Dongbin, imbued with an ethereal grace, also darkened slightly, for he was accustomed to witnessing such expressions from individuals like Han Yin. Each time a human from Earth heard these profound secrets, they would invariably question their circumstances to arrive in the realm of death. Especially as a being from a lesser civilization like Earth signified that one had been extraordinary in life. They often stood atop the world, accustomed to dominance, and subconsciously maintained a mindset of strength even in death. Once upon a time, were not the gods themselves in a similar predicament? Even upon entering this alien world, they aspired to conquer its pinnacle. But what was the outcome? The gods of Huaxia suffered grievous losses, with great deities falling. This was not solely the plight of Huaxia's gods, as powerful forces from other galaxies and realms underwent the same harrowing trials, with many factions entirely obliterated within the realm of death, never to be seen again. In those days, Lu Dongbin was merely a newly ascended immortal, an inconsequential presence among the gods of Huaxia. Yet, millennia of experience had taught him that within the realm of death, one must remain humble without sufficient power. Apart from the legendary Mamian clan's spatial traversals, no one could be reborn after death. Life, indeed, is singular. However, Lu Dongbin's heart ached. This was not his true home. Han Yin gazed at Lu Dongbin's poetically melancholic silhouette, sensing a profound solitude emanating from him. In that fleeting moment, his spirit stirred anew. Realizing that Lu Dongbin was not so different from himself, gods are but men, and men can embody the divine, disbelieving in heaven or the supernatural. Was this not the very oath of vengeance sworn by the Lord of Death after the demise of his kin? At this moment, Han Yin gently caressed the purple wood of the bed, the shadow of the violet star indelibly etched in his heart. The goddess Enhua fell in the 15th layer of the death realm, and Taishang Laojun perished in the 16th layer. Thus, the path of the gods halted at the 16th layer of the death realm, for none dared to venture further. And the final 3 layers were truly the burial grounds of gods. As if comprehending something from Lu Dongbin's words, Han Yin's expression transformed into one of serene calm. He reached out to touch the still sleeping Shui, and the purple flame cradled in her arms, inquiring, "What should I do now?" Lu Dongbin turned to face him, astonished by Han Yin's tranquility, for he had never seen anyone accept such grave revelations in such a brief span. Your cultivation method is rather unique. However, over the millennia, we have unearthed numerous paths of cultivation that I shall share with you shortly. Even if you do not apply them, you may glean some insights. As for the other gods, you may have to wait 3 days before you can meet them. Lu Dongbin's gaze drifted southeast, revealing a glimmer of yearning. For the souls in the death tunnel seemed to have learned of the god's journey to the 6th space, and were mounting a vigorous assault on our burial grounds. Han Yan's violet pupils suddenly sparkled with intensity. War was upon them, and he had arrived at a most opportune moment. "I wish to see," he declared, stepping forward with fervent desire, though deep within, a cold cruelty flowed. Death and slaughter had accompanied him throughout his illustrious life. Han Yan glanced at Lu Dongbin's resolute expression, aware that no amount of persuasion would sway him. Thus, he could only longingly gaze towards the distant sounds of battle emanating from the southeast. While plotting how to elude Lu Dongbin and reach the so-called battlefield, the clash between the gods and the souls, where Huaxia's dignity awaited him to be reclaimed, Han Yan smirked, musing silently at Lu Dongbin's confident words. For the gods to occupy the burial grounds was akin to usurping another's home, and it was no wonder the souls fought fiercely to reclaim what was theirs. As he surveyed his surroundings, a long-forgotten sense of responsibility welled up within him. This was his home, and henceforth, it would serve as the sanctuary of the Huaxia clan. Suddenly, a dazzling brilliance illuminated the sky, and the battle in the southeast seemed exceedingly fierce, stirring Han Yan's heart once more. Damn it, his homeland was under siege. Yet he found himself cowering here. This was hardly the character of Han Yan. Unbeknownst to him, freed from the mysterious forces that had once held him captive, he encountered his kin in this rarefied realm of death. His heart underwent a subtle transformation, reminiscent of his university days, fiery and impulsive. Meow? Little Xian had awakened, appearing on Han Yan's shoulder in a flash of white, startling him. It dawned on him that this little night kid he had taken in had devoured a layer of the black impermanence's true essence, allowing him to escape with Zhao Goming's aid. Otherwise, with Zhao Goming's prowess, breaking through the black impermanence's restraints would not have been a simple task. It seemed he had adopted a peculiar creature, yet the thought brought a smile to Han Yan's face. Was he not extraordinary in his own right? Xian, do you wish to see as well? Han Yan queried, his gaze fixed on the southeast, curiosity brimming within him. Xian appeared to comprehend his words, nodding its little head and meowing excitedly. Han Yan glanced back at the still sleeping Shui heir, knowing she would not awaken any time soon and that she was secure here. With a decisive step, he exited the room, setting his sights on the direction of the turmoil. Chapter 18. Stalemate. Han Yan glanced at the still soundly sleeping Shui heir and realized that she likely wouldn't awaken any time soon, given the safety of his surroundings. He stepped out of the room, determined and purposeful. The death graveyard lived up to its name. As Han Yan traversed the desolate expanse, he encountered surprisingly few souls, the stark emptiness more astonishing than he had anticipated. When he approached within a kilometer of the battlefield, the overall situation of the conflict came into clearer focus. The towering fortress was constructed from indomitable black stone, its walls rising at least twice the height of the Black Blood City in the abyss of death. Upon the battlements, Han Yan recognized the familiar faces of the Huaxia people, their dark hair and yellow skin evoking a sense of kinship. He effortlessly ascended a nearby hill. Yet the scene below the walls left him astounded. Countless skeletons and zombies, relentless in their assault, surged against the fortifications. Though they were obliterated upon entering 500 zhang from the walls, the sheer numbers of these undead creatures, employing a strategy of overwhelming force, rendered their losses trivial. Han Yan's brow furrowed in concern. Despite the overwhelming power of the Huaxia gods atop the walls, their numbers paled in comparison to the undead hordes. On the eastern battlements stood the Emperor Haoyan, commanding the Eastern Azure Dragon and its 28 star gods along with numerous divine generals. To the south, King Li, the pagoda bearer, led the southern Vermilion Bird and its star gods, including Neza. In the north, Emperor Gocheng directed the northern Black Tortoise and its star gods. Though he had heard of these three leaders from ancient myth, it was the figure upon the western wall that captivated him, a woman clad in flowing white silk, her piercing phoenix eyes radiating a chilling aura. In her grasp, a lengthy white ribbon, shimmering with brilliance, swept through the ranks of the undead, claiming the lives of hundreds with each motion. Han Yan squinted, a peculiar light swirling within his violet pupils. This woman stirred an odd sensation within him, one he could scarcely define. For the first time, his heart raced in response to a woman, her visage indelibly etched into his mind amidst the carnage and coldness of battle. Simultaneously, he was consumed by curiosity. In ancient mythology, Nuwa had perished, and though many goddesses followed, none seemed to possess such formidable prowess. The positioning of the four city walls undoubtedly signified her status, perhaps even placing her above the earthly emperors. Who could she possibly be? Xia Bingying was utterly engrossed in the relentless slaughter when suddenly, her heart, encased in ice for millennia, jolted. Her gaze shot toward the hill where a tall man with peculiar purple eyes was staring back at her. In that fleeting moment of connection, both felt their cold hearts surging with warmth, a visceral thrum of emotion. A sharp pain coursed through her left arm. In her moment of distraction, an undead creature of formidable rank had successfully breached her defenses, leaving a wound in its wake. Yet, she plunged back into the fray, her ribbon moving with unceasing fury, encompassing the encroaching undead, obliterating them into nothingness. Her phoenix eyes narrowed, glaring at the bewildered Han Yin, blaming him for her lapse in focus. Han Yin, momentarily dazed, stood transfixed, unable to discern the unfolding events. Had she been injured? Was it severe? He gazed at the beautiful woman, exuding a deadly aura, yet radiating an ethereal beauty reminiscent of a celestial being, seemingly entranced. Meanwhile, the purple flame atop his shoulder observed Han Yin's dazed expression and, with a resigned shake of its feline head, turned its attention toward the relentless undead. Saliva pooling in anticipation, a thunderous explosion echoed from the eastern wall. Emperor Hao Yin had unleashed a devastating attack that obliterated nearly 10,000 undead. Yet, a faint pallor brushed his features. 3 long days had passed without respite, and fatigue was evident among him and his divine generals. Arriving in this enigmatic realm of death, the emperor had come to realize the insignificance of his own power, even in this 8th layer of the death space, where the Huaxia gods struggled to maintain control. The spells honed over millennia on Earth seemed to lack something vital here, failing to unleash their full potential. Although the undead were numerous on Earth, he and his generals could have easily defended against them. Here, even united, they found themselves in a deadlock. "Emperor, are you injured?" Li Jing's voice carried from the southern wall, revealing his own weariness. Hao Yin shook his head, his expression grave. "A brief rest will suffice." However, the undead seemed to have calculated our weaknesses, launching a frenzied assault. Under normal circumstances, they would retreat after suffering significant losses, yet after 3 days, we have vanquished millions. Yet they show no signs of withdrawing. Li Jing's gaze shifted toward the northwest, concern deepening in his eyes. "Fear not. The blood-sucking bats are currently occupied with the sky beasts. They will not join forces with the undead against us." Emperor Goqing understood Li Jing's reference to the blood-sucking bats that had long allied with the undead, lurking in the death graveyard. That is a relief. Otherwise, the Huaxia clan would be in peril. The 3 exchanged glances, their expressions heavy with resignation. Just then, on the western wall, a dazzling white ribbon swirled like a celestial dragon, enveloping thousands of undead, reducing them to dust amidst explosive bursts. A flicker of relief crossed their faces. Truly, the legacy of Nuwa was formidable, achieving such mastery in a mere 10,000 years, rivaling their own prowess. However, the urgency of the situation demanded their focus. After a brief respite, the slaughter would resume. At that moment, a barely audible meow pierced the air, followed by a flash of white light from Han Yin's shoulder. The purple flame, unable to contain its excitement, leapt toward the approaching skeletons and zombies, its speed rendering Han Yin powerless to intervene. Chapter 19. The Violet Flame. The violet flame moved with astonishing swiftness, traversing thousands of meters in the blink of an eye, plunging into the midst of the vast army of the undead. Han Yin felt a surge of urgency. He harbored a brotherly affection for this little companion, prompting him to stride forward. However, his anxiety appeared to be entirely unfounded. Amidst the legion of the undead, the violet flame shimmered like a beacon of white light, bounding exuberantly and emitting excited cries. When Han Yin finally reached the base of the city wall, he was rendered speechless by the sight before him. Wherever the white light traversed, the undead crumbled as if scorched by the sun, black mist billowing from their skulls while their skeletal frames disintegrated. The violet flame then let out a jubilant cry, eagerly absorbing the black essence into its body. With each intake, its white fur became increasingly lustrous, and the azure fur on its limbs began to radiate a soft glow, enveloping its diminutive form in a swirling aura of bluish-white light. Its speed intensified. Amidst the throngs of the undead, the elongated bluish-white luminescence cut through like an arrow, voraciously siphoning the life essence from countless skeletons and zombies. The moment the undead encountered this ethereal radiance, they emitted heart-wrenching wails before vanishing into the ether. All onlookers were astonished by this extraordinary phenomenon. The 2 great emperors, King Li and even Xia Bingying, the inheritor of Nuwa's legacy, wore expressions of disbelief as they observed the chaos wrought by the bluish-white light upon the once formidable army of the undead. Even the most unyielding of the undead paused in their tracks upon encountering this peculiar creature. After 3 relentless days and nights of assault, the undead had suffered colossal losses, amounting to millions. Despite their vast numbers, such attrition was unsustainable. On the periphery of the undead forces, 3 reapers, cloaked in black robes and wielding enormous blood-red scythes, caught sight of the violet flame. A profound sense of aversion washed over them, instilling a sense of fear. Exchanging silent glances, the leftmost reaper vanished in an instant. Reappearing like a phantom on the battlefield, the massive scythe crashing down towards the violet flame with a thunderous force. Han Yin gasped in alarm, his heart racing as he prepared to leap from the wall, only to be seized by a strikingly handsome yet somewhat androgynous youth, Neza, the third prince. Brandishing a red tassel spear, a chill swept over Han Yin, his violet eyes swirling with an eerie light. He unleashed an overwhelming force directed at Neza's chest. The moment they made contact, Han Yin was taken aback. The vast, enigmatic purple energy within him responded acutely to the unique celestial aura emanating from Neza, overpowering it with astonishing might. Neza was propelled backward in disbelief, astonished that he had been struck down by someone at merely the 5th tier of soul power. How could this be? This startling turn of events shocked King Li and the celestial generals stationed at the southern wall, compelling them to converge. Their gazes locked onto this enigmatic outsider, with black hair and yellow skin, but possessing a pair of mesmerizing violet eyes. They found it difficult to ascertain whether Han Yin belonged to the Huaxia lineage. "Who are you, young man? What brings you to this place?" King Li inquired, his initial anger subsiding upon realizing his son was unharmed. However, his regal authority bore down heavily upon Han Yin. Regaining his composure, Han Yin reflected on the perilous circumstances surrounding the violet flame, which had caused him to lose his bearings. He realized that Neza's intervention was indeed for his own good. Had he leaped into the fray, he would have been swiftly devoured by the undead. With this thought, he cast an apologetic glance at Neza and said, "Third Prince, in my eagerness to save, I inadvertently offended you." Neza's stunning visage broke into a smile as he stepped forward. "Brother Han, it was merely an unintentional act. I, Neza, am hardly one to hold grudges. Yet, I must admit, you have piqued my curiosity. Not only do you possess a remarkable companion, but your own cultivation is shrouded in mystery. Might I inquire if you are of the Huaxia lineage?" Encouraged by Neza's geniality, Han Yin felt an increase in goodwill. He glanced at the violet flame, still gallivanting amidst the undead, its power unyielding. Curiously, the reaper that had previously threatened them had vanished without a trace. Smiling, he replied, "Indeed. I am of the Huaxia lineage. Today, I was rescued from the depths of the abyss of death by my brother Zhao Gongming. Upon learning of the undead siege, my curiosity compelled me to come and observe." The celestial beings, now perspiring with apprehension, turned their gazes to Neza, relieved that he had intercepted Han Yin. Otherwise, the opportunity for the Huaxia lineage to rise again might have slipped away. "Brother Han, your noble status should not be risked lightly. Who has treated you with such negligence?" The gods pondered how Han Yin, with his mysterious identity, could be present in such a perilous situation. King Li's fury flared once more. Understanding now why Lu Dongbin had been adamant about keeping him from venturing out, Han Yin quickly explained, "Your Majesty, please quell your anger. I slipped away stealthily. It is not anyone's fault." Meanwhile, the other celestial beings had noticed the unusual circumstances surrounding King Li and began to inquire telepathically. Upon learning that Han Yin was one of the 4 mysterious undead, they were elated. Had it not been for the ongoing defense of the city, they might have rushed over in haste. Xia Bingying, with her ethereal countenance, briefly exhibited a flicker of surprise. Though she was the inheritor of Niwa, her limited training left her with only a rudimentary understanding of many divine arts. When she had locked eyes with Han Yin earlier, she had felt a peculiar sensation that had quickly dissipated, leading to her being ambushed and injured. The Huaxia celestial beings were invigorated by this revelation, while the attacking undead were in utter disarray. Under the relentless onslaught of the violet flame, they found it impossible to mount a cohesive counterattack, and many began to retreat in the wake of the bluish-white radiance. The 3 reapers were now in a state of panic, their initial intent to capture the violet flame replaced by trembling bodies, desperately attempting to expunge the fatal scars it had inflicted upon them. Chapter 20. The goddess. What manner of beast is this, seemingly born to vanquish the undead? It is utterly unstoppable. Brother, we must retreat. Those damn snow-sucking bats are entangled with the colossal beast in the sky and cannot come to our aid. Our casualties have already surpassed 5 million, and if this continues, our undead clan may face total annihilation. One of the Reaper's servants spoke to the Central Reaper's servant, his face completely shrouded in dark mist. yet his voice betrayed an unmistakable sense of helplessness and sorrow. Indeed, brother, the king is on the verge of awakening. Only under the king's leadership can we truly unleash the power of the undead clan. The bloodied reaper's servant, trembling from his wounds inflicted by the purple flame, also urged from the side. The elder brother, his eyes blazing with crimson fury, harbored an indelible hatred for the diminutive figure of the purple flame. Yet he ultimately sounded the retreat. As countless undead withdrew like a receding tide, the deities of Huaxia breathed a sigh of relief, their gazes shifting towards the battlefield, fixated on the purple flame. At that moment, the purple flame radiated a silvery luminescence, and the azure glow upon its forelimbs manifested as tangible scales, while its violet feline eyes deepened into an otherworldly abyss. Purple flame, Han Yin called out to the battlefield. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and the palm-sized figure of the purple flame appeared on Han Yan's shoulder, its speed astonishing even the gods. The Emperor Hao Yin and the Emperor Goqing ascended the southern city walls, pondering whether the millennia of dreams within Han Yan's heart might truly come to fruition. Regardless of whether Han Yan was indeed the legendary divine king, they were filled with hope, particularly upon witnessing the immense power of the purple flame, Han Yan's pet, leading them to regard Han Yan as the successor to the divine king. After all, what else could explain the presence of such a remarkable divine beast by his side? Faced with these legendary figures from ancient myths, Han Yan felt no pressure. Instead, he sensed an extraordinary familiarity. However, a palpable aura of lethal intent flickered across Han Yan. For he had unfinished business in the realm of the dead, to eradicate the city of black blood and confront the so-called white ghost. Han Yan's violet eyes sparkled with intensity, for the promise of the Lord of Death had never faltered. Xia Bingying, leading her divine generals, approached gracefully. The 3 days and nights of relentless battle seemed to have left no mark on her, instead adding an air of valiance to her already unparalleled beauty. A mere glance from Han Yan sent his heart racing, the cold, murderous resolve within him transforming into the fervor of youthful infatuation. Shyness, an emotion he thought long buried, unexpectedly surfaced on his face. Han Yan was momentarily taken aback, yet he understood the reason behind this change. The former Lord of Death was cold and devoid of desire, a result of being entirely controlled by the mysterious forces within him. However, in the realm of the dead, his heart had undergone profound transformations through repeated metamorphoses. For the first time, he had genuinely mastered the mysterious power, and though he temporarily lost the unrivaled strength he had in life, he firmly believed that the power he would wield in the future would far surpass that of his past. With this realization, the restraint in Han Yan's demeanor dissolved, and his eyes boldly scanned the assembly of goddesses, settling upon Xia Bingying, the strongest in combat, most beautiful in visage, yet coldest in demeanor and proudest in temperament. Xia Bingying noticed Han Yan's change. Her frosty countenance hardened further as she retorted, "If you dare to look at me like that again, I shall pluck out your eyes." Her words elicited bemusement among the gods, for Xia Bingying, inheritor of Nuwa, displayed a temperament starkly contrary to her predecessor. Whereas Nuwa, the mother of humanity, was gentle and kind, Xia Bingying embodied the essence of an ice goddess, her nature fiery and direct, leaving no room for compromise. Han Yan was momentarily taken aback, but then a smile graced his face, revealing his masculine allure. This woman, it seemed, was quite intriguing, truly deserving of his affection. Yet in Han Yan's lexicon, the notion of yielding was non-existent. Even with women, those he cherished must heed his will. Gently stroking the radiant, gleaming fur of the purple flame, Han Yan fixed his daring gaze upon Xia Bingying and declared, "Were it not for your beauty, I would hardly bother to look. Moreover, why does such a stunning woman feel the need to act like a tough man? Surely, you tire of this charade." His words left the assembly of deities astounded. To openly jest before the ice goddess was an audacious endeavor no one could assist him with. Nevertheless, as Han Yan represented the hopes of the entire Huaxia divine clan, the two emperors exchanged glances and hastily intervened, attempting to diffuse the tension. "Ha ha, young Master Han speaks true. The Ice Maiden is indeed the most beautiful goddess of our Huaxia pantheon. Though her temperament may be a touch proud, she is quite approachable." Yet Xia Bingying's response took the gods by surprise. Although her demeanor remained frosty, she merely huffed and ceased her rebuttal. Her bright eyes fixated on the purple flame perched upon Han Yan's shoulder. Observing her expression, Han Yan turned his gaze toward the purple flame, which, despite its diminutive size, exuded an air of confidence, yawning nonchalantly as if to question whether there was a matter at hand. "It is not I who seeks you, but rather the beauty across from us has taken a liking to you." Han Yin remarked, directing the purple flame's attention towards Xia Bingying. Upon witnessing the flame's pure, snow-white countenance and its extraordinary charm, the previously icy Xia Bingying thawed, revealing a hint of a smile that left all present in a state of astonishment. Han Yan's heart raced anew as he mused. This girl is far too capricious. It's utterly enchanting yet maddening. Why maintain such a frosty facade? Hand it over. The ice goddess's demand nearly toppled Han Yan. Even if she desired the creature, such directness was unwarranted. Moreover, but moments earlier, she had threatened to gouge out his eyes. Chapter 21. The defeat of the gods on Han Yan's face. Pride was evident as he provocatively remarked, "Why should I? You're not my wife. And my pet is not obliged to serve you. You seek death." The Ice Mountain goddess exclaimed, her white silk already swirling in the air, aimed at Han Yan. Yet her true target was the purple flame on his shoulder. The two great emperors and King Li, witnessing Xia Bingying's fury, felt an urgent sense of alarm. In terms of lineage, as the reincarnation of Yue, Bingying was of the same generation as them, even above King Li. However, subconsciously, they preferred to regard Xia Bingying as a daughter. Observing the clear bite mark on the white silk, the gods gazed at the purple flame with expressions of disbelief. As if they were witnessing a truly monstrous being. Not only could it absorb the essence of the dead, but it also feasted upon the unique celestial energy of the Huaxia clan. In truth, after spending millennia in the realm of death, they had never encountered such a creature. Enough, enough. Bingying, do not be angry. The fact that we could repel the undead without any casualties among the Huaxia gods is already a monumental achievement. Thanks to young Master Han. Furthermore, given his noble status, he may very well be the hope of our Huaxia clan. As the divine heir of Niwa, it is unbecoming of you to be so disrespectful. The esteemed Emperor Haotian hastily intervened, exchanging a meaningful glance with Emperor Goqing, who was known to command Bingying's respect. Li Jing nodded, assuring, "Rest assured, Your Majesty. As long as I, Li Jing, am here, the walls of Ghost Cloud City will never fall." At that moment, the Southern Emperor, ZY, had just completed healing Zhao Gongming. He had endured a combined attack from the formidable experts, Black Wuchang and Qing South. Had it not been for Zhao Gongming's own achievement of the second stage of life, he would have faced dire consequences. Meanwhile, Lu Dongbin was in a state of deep anxiety, unable to fathom that Han Yin had disregarded his advice and rushed to the battlefield. Should anything happen, he would find it impossible to atone for his actions. Fortunately, Han Yin was unharmed, and by a stroke of fate, the purple flame had altered the tide of battle, ensuring that no Huaxia gods perished and they returned victorious. Nevertheless, he was subjected to a stern reprimand from Emperor ZY, being sentenced to reflect on the cliff of remorse for 3 months, leaving Han Yin with a profound sense of guilt. Shui'er had long awakened and, upon seeing Han Yin return, rushed over with a face full of terror. "Brother, where is this place? Who are they?" In Han Yan's embrace, Shui'er appeared considerably calmer. Yet the sight of the unfamiliar faces, albeit handsome men and extraordinarily beautiful women, still instilled a sense of unease within her. Tenderly holding Shui'er, Han Yin whispered, "Do not fear, Shui'er. This will be your brother's home from now on. These individuals are my kin, and they are not bad people. They are almighty immortals." Curiosity sparkled in Shui'er's beautiful, clear eyes as she asked, "Immortals? Brother, what are immortals?" Taken aback for a moment, Han Yin soon realized that in Shui'er's world, the concept of immortals did not exist, so he patiently explained, "Immortals are extraordinary beings." "Extraordinary beings? Then, brother, are you also an immortal?" Hope glimmered in Shui'er's eyes as she tightly grasped Han Yan's hand, excitedly exclaiming, "Brother, can we take revenge for father and mother? And vanquish those villains in Black Blood City, especially that wicked Black Absolute?" Upon hearing this, Han Yan's gaze turned cold. He had no desire to seek vengeance through others, stating, "Shui'er, I promise you, I will avenge your parents. But not now. When I possess sufficient strength, I will take you with me to eliminate those evildoers. Is that all right?" Shui'er's eyes dimmed momentarily, yet soon a firm resolve shone through as she replied, "Then, brother, will you teach me powerful skills? I do not wish to become a burden to you." Gently stroking Shui'er's head, Han Yan's eyes filled with warmth as he said, "Very well. Tomorrow I shall teach you. Together, we shall seek vengeance." Nearby, the purple flame meowed insistently, as if to remind them not to forget its presence. Han Yin playfully placed it in Shui'er's arms, laughing, "Little monster, I won't forget you. Aha." Emperors ZY, Haotian, Goqing, and the still frosty Xia Bingying observed the profound bond between Han Yin and Shui'er, instinctively recognizing the significance of this little girl to Han Yin. Young Master Han, I trust you now understand why we Huaxia gods have come to this realm of death. Emperor Zy spoke with a tone laden with nostalgia. After millennia of cultivation, our perspective has grown increasingly narrow, leading us to arrogance, believing that our Huaxia lineage stands at the pinnacle of the universe. Perhaps it is this narrow-mindedness that has drawn us to this realm, where we have come to truly comprehend what power is and how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things. At this moment, Han Yin had fully immersed himself in the role of the Huaxia lineage and, filled with curiosity, inquired, Your Majesty, could you elaborate on the circumstances surrounding our transportation here? Chapter 22 The Complete Defeat of the Gods 2 It was the year 907 AD, the very moment when the last emperor of the Tang dynasty, Emperor Ai, was slain by Zhuan. At that instant, the dragon vein of Huaxia abruptly severed, prompting the gathering of deities, Buddhas, demons, spirits, and ghosts within the primordial valley of Hongmeng, where the venerable Taoist Hongjun had once established the dragon vein. Hongjun had long since transcended into the vast cosmos eons ago, leaving the three realms devoid of a guiding figure. Taoists, Buddhists, shamans, demon clans, and ghost tribes were embroiled in superficial alliances and clandestine rivalries. Upon their arrival at the site of the dragon vein's rupture, they discovered that the singular essence of the divine dragon had inexplicably vanished, resulting in the disruption of the dragon vein and a tumultuous surge of dragon energy. In the wake of this revelation, the entire Hongmeng Valley suddenly radiated a dazzling brilliance. The once fully activated Hongmeng array underwent a peculiar transformation, eluding even the control of the three revered Taoist masters personally taught by Hongjun. Alarmed yet composed, the assembly of deities convened to devise a strategy. Although the Hongmeng array was a formidable primordial formation, the combined might of the deities from the three realms could likely overpower it. Thus, the ancient goddesses Inhua and Fuxi, the three revered Taoist masters, the Tathagata and Amit Bha from Buddhism, the 10 ancient shaman ancestors, the 9 demon sovereigns, and the 10 Yama kings from the ghost tribe. These formidable figures united to unleash an assault capable of obliterating the entire Milky Way galaxy. A resounding crash echoed as the ancient formation, suffused with the essence of primordial energy, was finally breached, creating a substantial opening. However, just as the gods felt a sense of relief, a pitch-black veil enveloped the Hongmeng Valley once more. Beyond this veil, a visage, fluid and indistinct, materialized before the deities. Foolish beings, in this realm of death, you shall experience your own frailty. Before the deities could comprehend the situation, the fabric of reality shifted violently, rendering them powerless against the impending forces. They felt the world sway, and when their senses returned, they found themselves in this enigmatic realm of death. After hearing the account from Emperor Zy, Han Yin was equally astounded. The might of the ancient deities was unfathomable, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of Chinese history, a testament to their unparalleled influence. Deities were omnipotent. Even the 8 immortals, like El Dongbin, left behind illustrious legacies, their tales of crossing the sea with individual prowess echoing through the ages. What then of the ancient gods, particularly the revered Taoist masters, those paragons of power? Yet now, one of the 4 heavenly emperors, Emperor Zy, informed him that the gods of Huaxia had been effortlessly transported to the realm of death, with their true adversaries remaining shrouded in mystery. More absurdly, the exalted deities of Huaxia had been reduced to vying for mere refuge against the lowliest of spirits. A revelation that struck Han Yin with profound dismay. His blood still coursed with the heritage of Huaxia. Yet witnessing the fall from grace of his kin stirred an undeniable turmoil within him. However, a colossal question began to arise in his mind. Thus far, he had only encountered the so-called Taoist immortals. Where were the representatives of the other 4 clans, Buddhists, shamans, ghosts, and demons? It seemed as if Emperor Zy understood Han Yin's unease, as his sigh carried an even heavier weight. Upon arriving in this realm of death, the characteristics of the Huaxia clan were laid bare. In truth, the might of the Huaxia deities ranked among the pinnacle of the cosmos. Yet, their incessant internal strife had been an indelible trait since the dawn of creation. In the past, despite entering the alien realm of death, the strength of the 5 Huaxia clans had commanded respect. 8,000 years prior, they had once conquered cities, dominating the 1st through the 14th layers of the death realm. Invincible and unparalleled, that was the zenith of Huaxia, yet also the source of their internal discord. Having been intoxicated by victory, the gods of the 5 clans debated who deserved the greatest credit, who should claim the most territory. and who ought to lead as the first king of the gods since the dawn of creation. Thus, civil war erupted, a conflict devoid of meaning. As each clan harbored animosities against the others, one day, the ghost tribe might assault the demon tribe, only for the two to unite against the Buddhists the next. This war persisted for 200 years, depleting the Huaxia deities of their vital forces, while the power of each layer within the death realm surged. The gods of Huaxia found themselves unable to reclaim their former glory. It was only at this juncture, having merely occupied the 14th layer, that the Huaxia deities came to their senses. Though it was too late, suffering heavy casualties, their leaders remained intact, and each clan had a reserve of elite warriors. Yet the numbers of the Huaxia deities dwindled from 100,000 to a mere 30,000, an unfathomable toll of 70% of their kin lost to the fray. The deities recognized that with their diminished ranks, reclaiming total dominion over the 14th layer was beyond their capabilities. Moreover, having stood atop the world on earth, the Huaxia deities had long regarded mortals with disdain. Consequently, after deliberation among the 5 clan leaders, the gods of Huaxia made a fateful decision that nearly led to their obliteration. They would forsake all territory above the 14th layer and instead strive to seize the final 5 layers of the 19th layer of the death realm, the most perilous of all. But how could the proud gods of Huaxia be intimidated by such rumors? Accustomed to dominance, they blindly tore through the barriers of the 14th layer, entering the 15th layer. As Emperor Ziwei recounted this, a flicker of terror flickered in his eyes. After a deep breath, he steadied his thoughts and continued. The 15th layer of the death realm was a realm of separation, reminiscent of the ancient primordial chaos, where existence reverted to a primal state. Even more astonishing, 10 suns radiating intense heat hung in the sky, reminiscent of the ancient world. Aside from the occasional spirits patrolling the domain, this was the 15th layer, known as the graveyard of the gods. The 5 clans felt a sense of bewilderment. Aside from the fiery intensity, there seemed to be no particularly formidable entities present. Chapter 23. The complete defeat of the gods in an instant, a terrifying event unfolded. The heavens experienced an unprecedented rise in temperature as 10 suns unleashed an unbearable heat that enveloped the entire 15th layer of the realm of death. While this extreme temperature posed little threat to the mighty deities such as the 3 pure ones, it was lethal to the weaker factions, including the demon and ghost races. In mere moments, countless gods fell victim to the searing heat, resulting in significant losses among the divine forces of the 5 races. At this critical juncture, the ancient great shaman Hui emerged. He was renowned as the sun-shooting hero of antiquity, and with a volley of 9 divine arrows, the intensely heated suns plummeted, bringing a welcome coolness to the earth. However, just as the gods began to breathe easier, the last remaining sun erupted with a heat far surpassing that of the original 10, overwhelming even the likes of the Taoist masters. As Hui prepared to shoot his final arrow, a beam of black-red light burst forth from the heart of that sun, vaporizing him, bow and arrow included. The gods were aghast, but it was too late. The sun unleashed an endless torrent of black-red flames, and the leaders of various races, in a bid to preserve their strength, shielded their kin with their divine powers. Yet, under the relentless assault of those flames, their protective barriers grew perilously thin. If this continued, it seemed that no god of Huaxia would escape unscathed. Casting a glance at Air, who was completely immersed in her ancestral memories, the eyes of the great emperors brimmed with admiration. Truly, women are not to be underestimated. In this dire moment, Niwa, the mother of humanity, stepped forth. With all her might, she summoned the primordial treasure, the map of mountains and rivers, which began to expand infinitely, ultimately enveloping the vast 15th layer of space. The gods were temporarily spared from peril, yet the colossal sun encased within the map of mountains and rivers was undeniably the source of terror in the realm of death. Since its inception, it had undoubtedly vaporized countless divine beings. Thus, from the black-red flames emerged the legendary red lotus karma fire, birthing blossoms that, having feasted on the blood of countless gods, appeared blood-red. Although Niwa was a great deity of antiquity, she seemed powerless against such flames. The sight of the boundless red lotus karma fire scorching the suffering Niwa was unforgettable for the gods, who could only watch helplessly, unable to lend a hand. The anguish and sorrow were palpable, and even the cold flames felt a sting in their eyes. The mother of humanity, the mother of all gods, paved a glorious path for the deities with her body and blood. In her final moments, Niwa uttered a prophecy that, amidst confusion, seemed to illuminate a glimmer of hope for the gods. It was a vast ocean, seemingly endless. At that moment, the gods, already disheartened, recalled tales of the realm of death, where each descent revealed even more formidable and terrifying entities. Yet, humans, like deities, often cling to a sense of hope in the face of the unknown. In the tranquil expanse of the 16th layer of death, serene waters and gentle sunlight greeted the gods, who felt an ominous foreboding. As expected, the scene shifted abruptly. The formerly crystal-clear waters turned pitch black, and a rapidly spinning supervortex surfaced, giving rise to a dark palace radiating an aura of death. The Forbidden Sea, the Forbidden Palace, the Forbidden Sea King. This marked the first true realization by the gods of Huaxia that beyond their own existence, there were beings of even greater power looming above them. And their previous arrogance had led them to believe they were the strongest in this world. Unlike the scorching red lotus karma fire, the frigid waters of the Forbidden Sea inflicted a torment of contrasting extremes upon the gods. Yet, compared to the Sea King's indomitable trident, everything seemed insignificant. The three Pure Ones joined forces to battle, but, within half a day, Tog Tian had lost an arm. It was only with the aid of 2 Western Buddhas that they managed to achieve a stalemate. However, with the arrival of the 9 beasts of the Sea King and countless aquatic warriors, the Huaxia faction suffered the loss of half their strength. Entombed at the bottom of the Forbidden Sea, nourishing the marine life. In a desperate bid, the foremost of the 3 Pure Ones, Lao Jun, sacrificed his very soul. Utilizing the primordial treasure, the Taiji diagram, to encompass the entire Forbidden Sea, tearing the fabric of space as if echoing Nua's earlier efforts. Ultimately, however, he was brutally pinned to the Taiji diagram by the Sea King. As the Ziwei Emperor recounted these events, confusion and despair clouded his gaze. The disparity in strength was overwhelming, rendering them powerless to resist. Had the Huaxia faction truly succumbed? Han Yin felt a surge of hot blood constricting his chest, almost suffocating him. From the Ziwei Emperor's narrative, he could deeply sense the panic and helplessness of the gods at that time, as well as the immense power of the beings dwelling within the final 5 layers of the realm of death. In truth, he too should have submitted, should have compromised. If even the omnipotent gods had confessed defeat, what could he, a mere ruler of death, achieve? Yet, why did the force within him convey a sentiment, an anger? What did it signify? Discontent, resentment, dominance, disdain, and scorn. Even the purple flame perched upon his shoulder exhibited unusual changes. After a series of feline-like cries, it unleashed a frenzy that shattered numerous false mountains outside. Eventually, it turned to Han Yin, its small yet resolute eyes conveying a message akin to the mysterious power within him. Chapter 24. The utter defeat of the gods. A peculiar sensation surged within Han Yin's heart, igniting a fervent passion that coursed through his veins. Yet, following such a devastating blow, the gods of the 5 clans ought to unite in true solidarity. Why then? Have I yet to encounter any members of the other 4 clans here? In response to Han Yin's inquiry, a flicker of confusion appeared in the eyes of the Emperor Ziwei, who sorrowfully remarked, "Since our arrival in this realm of death, the divine powers of our Huaxia clan have inexplicably failed to function. For millennia, we have relied solely on inferior celestial energy to wield our spells. Thus, we have proposed that the 5 clans share their cultivation methods in hopes of uncovering the cause of this phenomenon." Alas, the other 4 clans collectively dismissed this suggestion, and signs of impending conflict have begun to surface once more. However, the 2 Buddha lords ultimately suggested a division of territory, leading the 4 clans to disperse, leaving us with little means of communication since. Having absorbed this history, Han Yin glanced at the still frigid, yet somewhat entranced Xia Bingying, who was gazing intently at the small Ziyin. He expressed his bewilderment regarding the mysterious forces vying for the 4 of them, who hailed from Earth. The 3 emperors turned their attention to the dazed Xia Bingying, but she seemed oblivious to Han Yin's question, her fixation on the small Ziyin unbroken. The Emperor Gochen nudged her, asking, "Ing'er, what are you daydreaming about?" Only then did Xia Bingying awaken, casting a glare at Han Yin, before asking, "What is it?" The 3 emperors felt a twinge of embarrassment, while they were consumed with worry for the future of the Huaxia gods. The inheritor of Nuwa seemed lost in thought. Nevertheless, given Nuwa's esteemed status and her deep ties to humanity and the demon race, they could hardly reproach Xia Bingying. They reiterated Han Yin's earlier question. She nodded and replied, "Before Nuwa fell, she entrusted her remaining divine power to me. Although I do not know the Divine King, I am certain that I would sense his presence if we were to meet." Upon hearing these words from the ice goddess, the 3 emperors turned their gaze to Han Yin, their expressions laden with unspoken questions. However, one statement from Xia Bingying left Han Yin feeling rather embarrassed, his face flushing. "You don't think this lecher is the Divine King, do you? Impossible. From the moment he appeared, I noticed him lurking behind a dirt mound on the city wall, his furtive eyes darting about. He even caused me to be ambushed by those wretched spirits. What a detestable creature. Xia Bing-ying regarded Han Yan with a mix of disdain and revulsion, her words rendering his expression awkward. Under normal circumstances, such comments would incite Han Yan's wrath, regardless of the speaker's status. Curiously, however, upon hearing her words, he felt no anger, only a sense of embarrassment. This strange sensation puzzled him, and even the small Ziyin perched on his shoulder seemed to scratch its head in curiosity. Yet, Han Yan found himself compelled to engage in a playful retort with Xia Bing-ying, asserting, "How do you know I'm looking at you if you haven't even noticed me? Besides, if I weren't the so-called divine king, why have you been staring at me non-stop since my arrival? I may not charge a fee, but surely you could exercise a bit of restraint." In an astounding turn of events, the cold and ruthless sovereign of death lightheartedly jested, a notion almost too surreal to comprehend. "What did you say?" Xia Bing sprang to her feet, her icy demeanor intensifying. Though her exterior was frigid, her temperament was fiercely fiery, bordering on capricious. Han Yan, undeterred, met her gaze with a cheeky grin, exuding an air of defiance. "Humph, you think I'm staring at you? I'm actually looking at that." Xia Bing pointed at the bewildered Ziyin on Han Yan's shoulder, her eyes sparkling with excitement. This little creature, from the first moment I laid eyes on it, evoked a most peculiar feeling within me, indescribable yet delightful. Moreover, its presence disrupted the spirit's assault, alleviating our siege. Her gaze was filled with yearning, as if she wished to cradle the small Ziyin in her arms and shower it with affection. Though her expression was tender and alluring, it appeared overwhelming for the small creature, which swiftly took refuge behind Han Yan, peeking curiously. Meanwhile, Han Yan was overtaken by a wave of desire. An impulsive urge to embrace Xia Bing and steal a kiss, perhaps spurred by the heat of the moment. The three emperors, upon hearing Xia Bing-ying's words, exhibited visible disappointment. They had entertained hopes that Han Yan's unique cultivation style and his extraordinary pet might indeed be linked to the divine king. However, the inheritor of Niwa had directly dismissed Han Yan's potential. "Do you still dare to look at me that way?" Xia Bing-ying's icy demeanor deepened. Had the three emperors not been present, she might have already taught Han Yan a lesson for his shamelessness. Han Yan shrugged, teasingly replying, "My eyes are on my face. I can look wherever I please. What business is it of yours?" Xia Bing was genuinely furious now, unfurling her white silk to reprimand Han Yan for his lecherous behavior. "Enough. The two Dao sovereigns are currently engaged in battle, saving lives. While we are besieged on both sides, our foremost priority is unity. Heir, you must temper your temperament. You've already injured enough people in recent days." Emperor Ziwei, seemingly the de facto leader among them, voiced his concerns, with the other two emperors acquiescing. Disappointed, he felt a weight on his heart. Xia Bing, sensing the emperor's genuine displeasure, despite her usual stubbornness, shot Han Yan a fierce glare before exiting the scene. Chapter 25, The God's Utter Defeat vs for you, Han Yan. Although you are not the God King, your cultivation method is remarkably unique, and your progress appears to be exceedingly rapid. I hope you can dedicate yourself to your training here, enhancing your strength. The responsibilities of the Huaxia clan will ultimately rest upon the shoulders of your younger generation, and the God King will require your assistance. I shall arrange for your accommodation shortly. For now, take some time to rest." After the Emperor Ziwei finished speaking, he departed with the two other emperors, their expressions laden with disappointment. However, Han Yan lingered behind, a look of confusion etched upon his face. While the tales of the gods ignited many questions within him, at this moment, his thoughts were consumed by his own uncertainties. It seemed he had truly transformed. The cold-blooded death sovereign he once was began to fade as he liberated himself from the grip of mysterious powers. The person he had become felt somewhat alien, yet it seemed to embody his true self. Surprisingly, he found himself contemplating women, reminiscent of his university days, as feelings of youthful infatuation stirred within him. In his world, it seemed that beyond the bones and blood, there was now an abundance of sunlight, while the remnants of death gradually sank beneath the earth. Han Yan smiled softly, deciding to let things unfold naturally, contemplating that perhaps this version of himself was the most authentic. However, a flicker of determination shone in his eyes. His pursuit of power and pride as the Death Sovereign remained unyielded. As for the soul energy that drifted freely in the realm of death, its nature remained a mystery. Han Yan could only attribute his inability to sense it to his inadequate perception skills. As one of the 81 enigmatic departed souls, he truly lived up to his title. Remarkably, his formidable mental strength, augmented by mysterious forces during his lifetime, had not entirely dissipated despite his current state of possessing only a soul and spirit. In fact, within the month of his arrival, he had diligently trained his body and refined his mental energy, striving for greater strength, leading to a gradual restoration of his mental prowess. Faint tendrils of purple energy coursed through his meridians, the result of a month's effort, marking the commencement of his mastery over his own powers. This mysterious force, exhibiting a purple hue, inspired Han Yin to name it Zili. In the moment of awakening, the soul skill that manifested, the soul-sealing technique, hinted at a potential breakthrough when harnessing Zili. The ability to seal the power of souls, albeit momentarily, allowed him to restrain his foe's soul energy while he launched his attacks, and he was astonished by the destructive capability of Zili. However, accustomed to the immense power from his past life, he merely paused in surprise before accepting it. Given his current strength, he estimated his soul energy to lie between the 5th and 6th tiers, ranking him among the lowest of the lowly, as even the weakest of the undead attacking today possessed at least 2nd-tier soul energy. Thus, he felt an urgent need to augment his own power. Moreover, the blood debt owed to him by Black Blood City weighed heavily on his mind. Han Yan's spirit became wholly immersed in the flow of Zili, his mental energy unclouded, perceiving every nuance of the purple energy's movement and characteristics. It was only when someone approached his room that he was jolted from his meditative state. Catching sight of an elderly figure with a dust whisk and golden crown, white eyebrows entering the chamber. "Young brother Han, I am the Tai Bai Jinxing, in charge of logistical affairs. You are fortunate to have arrived here. Come with me, and I shall arrange your accommodations." The kindly old Taoist in front of him was indeed Tai Bai Jinxing, and curiosity sparkled in Han Yan's eyes. This celestial being, often portrayed as the benevolent figure in dramas, radiated a gentle aura that evoked a sense of warmth. Han Yan smiled and recalled Shui, inquiring, "By the way, venerable immortal, what of the young woman who accompanied me?" Upon hearing Han Yan refer to him as venerable immortal, Tai Bai Jinxing chuckled heartily, replying, "While you were in discussion with the emperors, I took the liberty of sending her ahead. She awaits your arrival." At this, Han Yan expressed his gratitude. "Then I must trouble you, venerable immortal." As they walked, Han Yan marveled at the scenery around him. Despite being dubbed the graveyard of death, the Taoist lineage had always placed great emphasis on the aesthetics of their cultivation spaces. Were it not for his prior knowledge of the events, he might have believed he was dreaming. Before long, a delicate and elegant courtyard came into view, where little Shui stood at the entrance. Rushing towards him upon spotting him, Han Yan was quite satisfied with the courtyard, feeling a flicker of belonging, albeit missing a female lead. Once Tai Bai Jinxing departed, Shui eagerly grasped Han Yan's arm, asking, "Brother, when will you teach me to cultivate?" Gazing at the determined expression on Shui's face, Han Yan's eyes softened. "Shui, I understand your desire for vengeance, but cultivation is not achieved overnight. Hasty advancements are perilous. Moreover, my methods may not suit you." Disappointment clouded Shui's features momentarily, but she soon lifted her chin, her large eyes brimming with hope. "Brother, I understand, but I believe you will help me." Han Yan chuckled, playfully ruffling Shui's nose before nodding in agreement. Thus, the three of them settled in. The vast expanse of the graveyard of death was home to few from the Huaxia Taoist lineage, apart from the gods of Ur. Many male and female immortals had united in dual cultivation, ensuring that the Taoist tradition did not vanish entirely. Consequently, after enlisting Tai Bai Jinxing's assistance, Han Yan encouraged Shui to train alongside the children of the deities. Meanwhile, he diligently worked to control the scant traces of Zili within him, striving to refine and solidify it further, hoping to elicit greater quantities of this purple energy. 3 months slipped by unnoticed in this manner. Chapter 26. The Three Great Emperors. As a newcomer, I am unfamiliar with the art of promotion and can only call upon everyone for support. Over the past 3 months, these have been the most carefree days for Han Yan. Not only has he forged numerous friendships with divine beings, but his own purple energy has also ascended to an entirely new realm through relentless cultivation day and night. However, according to the power hierarchy of the realm of death, Han Yan is unable to ascertain the exact level of his cultivation. Coupled with the unique nature of his purple energy, which remains tranquil like an ancient well, it is nearly impossible to gauge the strength he currently possesses. Attempting to probe with soul power is utterly futile. Yet, when unleashed, the force is akin to a torrential flood, leaving even Han Yan astonished. What fills Han Yin with pride is that the ice mountain goddess, Xia Bingying, who has countless admirers among the Taoist deities, frequently visits him, provoking jealousy among many male immortals. However, it is evident that Xia Bingying's visits are not motivated by her perception of Han Yin as a mere lecher, but rather for the sake of the peculiar little creature, Ziyang. And her visits are becoming increasingly frequent. Although they often engage in heated arguments, merely conversing with the ice mountain goddess is enough to elicit envy from numerous male deities. Under Han Yin's guidance, the little Ziyang exhibits an air of supreme arrogance. Yet each time Xia Bingying departs, Ziyang displays endearing antics that reignite hope in Xia Bingying's heart, solidifying her resolve to acquire this extraordinary little pet. Han Yin, upon hearing this, feels a surge of excitement. The three pure ones, revered as superbosses, are said to be the three great incarnations of Pangu, the father of heaven and earth. He swiftly scoops up the slumbering Ziyang and cradles it, saying, "Let us depart. Perhaps I am acquainted with those mysterious deceased." Indeed, although Han Yin has never met the other three mysterious figures, upon encountering two of them, he experiences an inexplicable resonance. Within the grand hall, one elder with white brows and a middle-aged man clad in black are undoubtedly the legendary two of the three pure ones, Yuanshi Tianzuan and Tontian Jiao Master. Flanking the hall are numerous celestial beings that Han Yin has never encountered, likely disciples of the Chan and Jia sections. The three emperors and Xia Bingying rank just beneath the two great Taoist lords, followed by three men in black. The murderous intent lurking within Han Yin surged uncontrollably upon sensing the two men on either side, who were the fabled Night King and the Fallen Angel, both revered as rulers of the dark underworld alongside the Death Monarch. Han Yin is nearly certain that the middle-aged men on either side are indeed these legendary figures, for only those of the same rank among the dark underworld can evoke such mutual stirring. The Night King, Longzhua, the Fallen Angel, Ano, and the Death Monarch, Han Yin, exchanged glances that crackled with electric magnetism. Dao Zun, Han Yin presents himself. Han Xiangzi respectfully bowed, then withdrew to the hall's periphery. In this esteemed Taoist assembly hall, even the likes of the eight immortals lack the privilege of mere attendance. Yuanshi Tianzuan's gaze fell upon Han Yin, yet that lofty, condescending look instilled in him a profound discomfort, prompting him to return Yuanshi Tianzuan's stare with an expressionless countenance. This arrogant demeanor clearly incensed many of the Chan sect's golden immortals, as Guang Qingzi coldly scoffed, "Ignorant boy. To stand before the Dao Zun without bowing is sheer rudeness." Han Yin's expression darkened. Had it been in his previous life, he might have felt trepidation before such a formidable being, steeped in the myriad legends of divinity throughout Chinese history. However, in this realm of death, the Chinese deities are reduced to a state of despair, having lost many ancient gods, now competing with a throng of spirits for burial grounds. Throughout this time, Han Yin has encountered many beings from myth, and apart from their immense power, they are not fundamentally different from mortals. To Han Yin, it is unreasonable for the Dao Zun to maintain such an air of superiority amidst the fallen state of the Chinese pantheon. The deities of China have fallen into a pitiful existence, struggling for survival in this realm of death, reduced to vying for territory with spirits. Were Panga to resurrect, he would surely weep. I, Han Yin, do not bow to heaven or earth, nor to gods or spirits. Why should I prostrate myself? What a farce. Han Yin's pride flared in response to Guang Qingzi's words, and he retorted defiantly. The assembly of deities was taken aback. They had never anticipated that a mere mortal would dare to insult them so brazenly, which ignited their fury. Outrageous. The hot-tempered Shijingzi could not contain his wrath at Han Yin's audacity to slight his master, unleashing a beam of azure light from his fingertips aimed directly at Han Yin's chest. A glint of ferocity flickered in Han Yin's eyes. No one could compel the Death Monarch to bow, not even a deity. Within him, the purple energy surged into action. For he understood that although his purple energy was mysteriously potent, he had not cultivated long enough to withstand Shijingzi, an ancient golden immortal. Yet, Shijingzi was not exerting his full strength, and Han Yin's purple energy subtly hinted at a trend of suppressing soul power, leaving a glimmer of hope for confrontation. A monster. An absolute monster, this was the consensus among all, save for Xia Bingying, whose eyes sparkled with admiration. Chapter 27. The divine king of Huaxia. Not only were the gods astonished, but even the cold and fiery Han Yin found himself taken aback. However, a faint smile of pride soon graced his face. After absorbing a layer of the Ghost King's true essence and countless remnants of dead souls, it seemed that Zi Yin had grown considerably. His pure white fur shone ever more brilliantly, while while the azure fluff on his four limbs took on a shadowy hue. Thus, he viewed the ordinary attack launched by Qi Jingzi merely as an appetizer. Qi Jingzi, humiliated, seethed with anger and was about to retaliate, but was halted by the booming voice of Tongtian Patriarch. Enough. Whether or not you offer your respects is inconsequential. Truth be told, this lad has a point. Here we are, a so-called assembly of immortals, trapped in this graveyard, unable to enter or exit. It is truly disgraceful. Tongtian Patriarch's words evoked a newfound respect from Han Yan. In contrast to the aloof and seemingly otherworldly Yuanshi Tianzuan, Tongtian Patriarch appeared far more relatable and human. Let us not dilly-dally. After exerting such effort, we have finally gathered these four enigmatic beings from Earth. Do enlighten us. Which of them is the divine king spoken of by the lady? Tongtian Patriarch's thunderous voice compelled the members of the Chan sect to silence themselves. They were well aware of their senior's notoriously blunt temperament and had often faced his ire. Xiao Bingying reluctantly shifted her gaze from the small Ziyin, stepping forward amidst the envious eyes of the male deities. Her icy countenance bore a solemn expression as she spoke, upon surveying the surroundings. My gaze fell upon the young man standing between the two formidable dark sovereigns, the only one among the four enigmatic beings without any known background, the Wind King. As a bearer of Nua's legacy, she was naturally attuned to the aura of the Divine King, though she sensed a trace of divine energy emanating from the Wind King. She hesitated to draw conclusions, knowing that only through secret methods could the truth be truly discerned. Yuanshi Tianzuan maintained his inscrutable demeanor, slightly lifting his eyelids to survey the four enigmatic beings. Very well, you may proceed. All eyes were fixed upon the vibrant halo radiating profound divine energy in the air. Within the realm of the dead, divine energy could not be wielded. Only celestial energy could activate spells, significantly diminishing their potency. In a bid to ascertain who among them was the true divine king, the gods of Huaxiao pooled their true essence to form this colorful halo. A miracle transpired. A pure white light, exuding an air of nobility and solemnity, burst forth from the colorful halo, shooting towards the calm visage of the Wind King, ensconced between the two dark sovereigns. It was as if a memory awakened, reminiscent of the lofty heritage of the Divine King. In an instant, the Wind King underwent a profound and extraordinary transformation. The intense divine energy radiated from his being, gradually enveloping the entire hall. The Huaxia gods were filled with fervor. After a millennium in the realm of the dead, the Huaxiao lineage had finally rediscovered the cultivation method for divine energy, heralding a resurgence for their clan. Empowered by divine energy, the Huaxiao gods experienced a remarkable enhancement in their strength, capable even of challenging the final three layers of the terrifying realm of death. The brilliance surrounding the Wind King continued to merge with his form, solidifying into a golden elixir, which then transformed into an infant, ultimately evolving into a deity, fully integrating into the Wind King's dantian. Meanwhile, the remaining divine energy within the hall was steadily absorbed by the gods, marking the beginning of their cultivation, a beacon of hope for the legacy. Han Yin observed in a daze, while his companion, the small Ziyin, remained unperturbed, eagerly absorbing both celestial and divine energies, even more voraciously than the other gods. After feasting, it licked its long whiskers, eyes gleaming with pride and disdain, before proceeding to lick Han Yan's earlobe. The Divine King had emerged. The Huaxia lineage would no longer have to look up to others. Yuanshi and Tongdian, accompanied by the Huaxia Taoist gods, paid their respects to the Wind King, who radiated an aura of awakened memories and divine sanctity. Han Yin, however, curled his lips in disdain, his eyes glinting with contempt. Meanwhile, on the other side, Arno and Longzhou cast cold, piercing stares at the Wind King. Upon seeing Han Yin, the three exchanged a knowing glance, a peculiar sense of camaraderie enveloping them. Yet at that moment, a statement from Yuanshi Tianzuan rendered Han Yan's expression utterly grim. The Divine King has manifested. According to the lady's last decree, you shall serve as the Divine Queen, assisting the Divine King in dual cultivation. Chapter 28, Taking Leave. Chapter 29. Erlangshan. As these words escaped, the once boisterous hall fell into an immediate silence. Many youthful deities displayed expressions of anguish, yet when faced with the primordial heavenly venerable, the supreme monarch of the gods, they lacked both the authority and the courage to voice their dissent. Meanwhile, Xia Bingying maintained her icy demeanor, already aware of this outcome through her inherited memories. Though her heart vehemently resisted, she had been dreaming a dream as beautiful as a fairy tale since her inception. In that dream, a shadowy figure emerged, his features obscured, yet his robust form seemed capable of supporting the heavens and the earth. Amidst the boundless darkness, he shone like a radiant star, gradually warming her being. She understood that this enigmatic man was her destined one, yet he was certainly not the legendary God King. Perhaps this was a fated calamity. As a bearer of the Nuwa lineage, her fate as a goddess had already been sealed, for the sake of the heritage of Huaxia and the edicts of Nuwa. She had no choice but to comply. A stream of tears welled in her eyes. Yet could she afford to weep? What purpose would it serve? Xia Bingying's expression grew ever more serene and sacred, yet the sorrow hidden deep within her gaze stirred something within Han Yan's heart. A fierce and tempestuous light flashed in Han Yan's eyes. From the moment he laid eyes upon this icy, mountain-like goddess of the Nuwa lineage, he realized that after the metamorphosis of his rebirth, Xia Bingying was the first woman to penetrate his heart, despite her indifference to his advances. For Han Yan, his dominance and dignity remained akin to that of the death monarch of yore. The woman he desired would undoubtedly belong to him, and no one else would dare to encroach upon it. He turned his gaze toward the once stupefied, yet now regal and imposing, King Feng, a cruel smile flickering in his eyes. At that moment, a resounding voice unexpectedly boomed from beyond the grand hall, followed by a figure rushing in like the wind. Xia Bingying is mine, Yang Jian's. No one shall take her away. In the center of the hall stood the renowned Erlangchen, Yang Jian, his stature majestic and upright. He had single-handedly confronted the king of the Yaxas in the sixth death space, bearing grievous injuries and drenched in blood. His eyes were bloodshot, with the third celestial eye upon his forehead, a gift from the universe, beginning to glow ominously. A fierce aura enveloped him, and his trident-like spear pointed menacingly toward the solemn-faced King Feng. Xia Bingying, the most beautiful goddess of the Huaxia divine clan, had driven countless young deities into madness, among whom Yang Jian was infatuated to an almost indescribable degree. Although Xia Bingying had never shown any affection towards any male deity, Yang Jian had quietly become the most formidable contender. Impudent disciple. Yin Zhongzi's face turned ashen with rage. This disciple had always been his pride. The first warrior of the three realms, a title that resonated powerfully. Yet today, at such a critical moment, he uttered such rebellious words. It was a love that had fully permeated his blood and bones, profound and completely transcendent, too heavy to accommodate anything else. Upon seeing Xia Bingying's expression, Yang Jian smiled, knowing that this goddess, forever enshrined in his heart, was not acting of her own volition. Though she was the inheritor of Nuwa, Xia Bingying was not truly Nuwa herself. While Nuwas will remain steadfast after millennia, Xia Bingying was still the one he cherished deeply. Xia Bingying, do you remember what I once told you? Yang Jian's voice quivered slightly, but within lay an unwavering conviction that could not be shaken even by the collapse of heaven and earth. Faced with the profound gaze of Yang Jian, Xia Bingying's once impenetrable icy facade softened momentarily, stirring peculiar feelings within her heart. Yet she recognized that it was not love, but a reverence and reliance akin to that of siblings. She nodded, igniting an inferno of battle and excitement in Yang Jian's eyes. I, Yang Jian, will always protect you until you find your true love. This vow shall remain unbroken through the ages. Han Yan narrowed his eyes, gazing at the invincible warrior celebrated in the mortal realm, a peculiar light flickering within. Deities, too, were human. They possessed emotions and desires, much like mortals, embodying virtues and vices. Yet in Yang Jian, Han Yan sensed a profound authenticity of humanity, an unblemished purity. At this moment, was Erlangchen still a deity? He was merely a man wholly consumed by love, unable to accommodate anything else. Disciple, be silent. Do you wish to jeopardize the Huaxia divine clan for your selfish desires? Yun Zhongzi's face was a deep shade of anger, yet it was not yet his place to act as the primordial heavenly venerable had not yet spoken. Yang Jian raised his brow, gazing at the mentor who had painstakingly guided him since childhood, treating him as a son, with a resolute light flickering in his eyes. At this moment, silence spoke louder than words. Yun Zhongzi sighed inwardly. The gaze of his beloved disciple revealed the truth. This disciple, whom he had nurtured since childhood, had made his intentions clear. That resolute gaze and the blood-red celestial eye embodied the conviction of the famed Erlangchen. Before the great battle with the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, a millennium ago, Yin Zhongzi had witnessed such determination once before, a moment that had filled him with pride. Yet this time, the sorrow in his heart was insurmountable. With a heavy sigh, he fell silent, stepping back to join the other deities, closing his eyes. Chapter 30. Remarkable words at this moment. The deities of the Taoist pantheon in Huaxia, turned their gaze towards the two exalted Taoist lords and the newly ascended God King. The Wind King, who was enveloped in divine energy, regal and majestic, yet remained silent throughout. The white brows of the primordial heavenly lord stirred, and with a solemn glimmer in his eyes, he directed a profound light towards Yang Jian. The title of God King is a legacy of Nuwa, he declared. Yang Jian, in recognition of your significant contributions to our Huaxia divine lineage, I permit you to withdraw. This matter shall not be pursued further. His words startled Yun Zhangzi, who had been in meditation. He abruptly opened his eyes, focusing on his beloved disciple. Yet, after a heavy sigh, despair etched itself across his face. Once Yang Jian resolved his convictions, who in the world could sway him? Yang Jian laughed towards the heavens, casting a derisive glance at the so-called patriarch, and proclaimed, "In my life, I have acted with a clear conscience. If anyone dares to compel Inger to submit to him, they must first reckon with my spear." His three-edged spear radiated brilliance, locking onto the Wind King, whose face remained as somber as dark water, poised to strike with lethal intent. A flicker of excitement ignited in Xia Bingying's eyes, yet she quickly reverted to her usual icy demeanor, suddenly interjecting, "Brother Yang, allow me to speak." Descending gracefully from the dais, she exhibited an elegance that belied her fierce resolve, her cold beauty seemingly unchanged. To the eyes of the gathered deities, however, she exuded an air of determination. Han Yin, gazing at the woman who had pierced his heart, felt the chill within him dissipate. Replaced by a fervent light that seemed to burn hotter than the sun, his fierce gaze fixated upon her. Meanwhile, the violet flame perched upon his shoulder sensed its master's emotional turbulence, its small red eyes curiously observing the stunning Xia Bingying, longing to claim her. Xia Bingying approached Yang Jian, a rare smile gracing her icy visage. Her clear gaze lingered on the blood-stained bandages clinging to him, transforming into profound sorrow. From the moment of her birth a millennium ago, she understood her place among the Huaxia deities, a mere avatar of Nuwa. Under the relentless blaze of the Red Lotus Inferno, even a saint as powerful as Nuwa could not escape. The notion that a being of such exalted stature could not evade the flames of tribulation was a bitter irony. Her words stirred the deepest, most painful memories within the deities of Huaxia, dredging up a history they dared not confront, a source of shame. Yang Jian's throat tightened as he recalled the cataclysmic battle a millennium prior, where he had felt the terrifying heat of the Red Lotus and the might of the Forbidden Sea King. Indeed, why was it so? How could the mightiest of beings, the deities of Huaxia, be reduced to mere shadows, struggling to survive in a corner of the world? This was a disgrace to all divine lineages. And as the foremost warrior of the three realms, Yang Jian could not accept it. Xia Bingying's eyes shimmered with helpless self-mockery as vibrant energy began to ripple from her palms. The overwhelming, serene divine aura she exuded miraculously healed Yang Jian's wounds with a gentle caress. The unique soul-corroding force of the Tianlong Babu posed a threat to the original deities of Huaxia. Before her soul dissipated, Nuwa had uttered a profound statement. Xia Bingying's gaze shifted to the silent God King, her expression filled with pride. The will of the God King is the sole nemesis of death. At that moment, the Wind King's countenance shifted, an imperial aura enveloping him, and a majestic smile unfurled upon his lips. Ha ha! He burst into laughter, leaving the other deities in bewilderment, unable to comprehend why this previously silent God King was now laughing. Yet, the primordial heavenly lord and the celestial master exchanged glances tinged with concern. Perhaps only they understood the weight of Nuwa's words, aside from Xia Bingying, who bore her legacy. After a lengthy pause, the Wind King ceased his laughter, surveying Xia Bingying and Yang Jian from his lofty position. I have slumbered for eons, enduring countless reincarnations. Though I awaken now, I never envisioned that this so-called lineage of Huaxia would persist from that great battle eons ago. Earth, this primitive civilization, has given rise to one of my 9 branches. His words detonated like a bomb in the minds of all present. 9 branches, a great battle. Eons, what was this young God King implying? Was the lineage of Huaxia merely one of his 9 branches? What are the other 8? What manner of cataclysm could force such a formidable lineage into slumber? Even the 2 exalted Taoist lords wore expressions of shock, as the unfolding events far exceeded their expectations. Xia Bingying, too, was taken aback, her complexion paling. These revelations surpassed her understanding, for the legacy of Nuwa contained no such references. The Wind King's voice resonated once more, sweeping disdainfully over Han Yin, Long Zhua, and Nuwa. You 3 are the so-called rulers of the underworld? His booming voice carried an unusual weight, eliciting a stark pallor from Long Zhua and Nuwa, though their eyes remained defiant and resolute. mirroring their contempt for the Wind King. Han Yan, however, felt an overpowering force seize him, rendering him utterly powerless. An innate fear and sense of submission coursing through him, as the Wind King's presence loomed impossibly high, compelling him to bow before it. Simultaneously, little Xian emitted a peculiar cry, prompting Han Yan to arch an eyebrow in cold amusement, his gaze similarly filled with disdain for the Wind King. Chapter 31. The Clash of Sovereigns. The Wind King descended the steps with deliberate grace, each stride resonating with an enigmatic essence, as though he were treading upon the very hearts of those present. Lonzo and Arno's faces had turned an ashen hue. For the Wind King's formidable power was far beyond their capacity to withstand, yet, within their eyes, there lingered no trace of fear, only a palpable disdain. Han Yan remained utterly immobilized, the disparity in strength too vast to surmount. Even as the mysterious purple energy within him struggled against its confines, it ultimately proved futile. The Wind King exuded a divine aura that intensified with each step, an ethereal solemnity that no mere mortal could hope to resist. Approaching Lonzo and Arno, the Wind King wore a mocking expression of arrogance, his awakening of power and memories rendering him a formidable presence once more. "Do you remember what I once said?" A glimmer of murderous intent flickered in his eyes, yet his countenance remained adorned with a smile as he regarded Lonzo and Arno. "We would hardly recall the words of a coward," they jeered, their hoarse laughter echoing softly throughout the hall, causing the Wind King's smile to freeze. With a swift arch of his brow, a series of sharp, cracking sounds erupted from their shoulders, splintering down to their hands. In an instant, Lonzo and Arno's arms lay mangled and bloodied, a grotesque sight. They grunted in pain, beads of cold sweat forming on their brows. However, their disdain only deepened, surging alongside a frenzied thirst for vengeance. The dignity of two titans of the underworld would not allow them to bow their heads in this moment. Nor would they deign to plead for mercy from this man before them. Wind King, even if you have become some so-called God King in my eyes, you remain the coward who once groveled before the Dragon King." The Wind King's expression darkened, his divine aura swirling chaotically, rending the very fabric of space itself. "You shall perish." A chilling wave of murderous intent radiated from him, a force palpable enough to engulf Lonzo and Arno like a tsunami. The Primordial Celestial and the Celestial Master exchanged a glance, a flicker of complexity crossing their features, yet they remained inert. "You are not worthy to claim our lives." In that moment, the purple energy within Han Yan, which had been battling against the Wind King's restraints, miraculously broke free under some mysterious catalyst. He transformed once again into the haughty monarch of death, emanating an aura of both desolation and unparalleled dominance that countered the Wind King's catastrophic power. A fleeting expression of weakness crossed Han Yan's face as the purple energy surged within him, breaking through a significant barrier and filling his form with vitality. The Wind King's expression grew increasingly grim, while the deities in the hall were left in astonished silence. They had felt the sheer force of the Wind King's recent attack. Yet here stood Han Yan, who had merely months prior been at the 5th level of spiritual power, now effortlessly withstanding this onslaught, bolstered by a higher essence of divinity. Turning to face Lonzo and Arno, Han Yan's purple eyes shimmered with admiration and excitement. With a gentle sweep of his hands, a radiant purple light erupted from him, dissolving the invisible restraints that had bound them. Monarch of Death, Han Yan. Pride ignited in the eyes of Lonzo and Arno, mingled with a thrill of mutual recognition. King of the Night, Lonzo. Fallen Angel, Arno. Their hands clasped tightly together, and a raucous, unrestrained laughter erupted from their trio. This marked the inaugural meeting of the three great sovereigns of the underworld, united by a common adversary. Xia Bingyan gazed at Han Yan, who radiated wild abandon and laughter. And an unusual sentiment stirred within her. Perhaps this man was not as detestable as she had presumed. At least, in this moment, he evoked a flicker of warmth within her icy heart. Yang Jian, standing nearby, remarked with a glint in his eye, "A true son of Huaxia deserves no less." Yet the Wind King's visage had transformed into an icy facade, the awakening of his long-dormant memories illuminating the immense power he wielded. "Then let you all perish together." His voice turned flat, the earlier menace seemingly dissipating, yet it set off alarm bells within Han Yan's mind. With a swift motion, the void around them erupted with fissures filled with chaotic, violent energies as the Wind King's form appeared to be sliced into innumerable fragments, each visage twisted in a grotesque grimace. "Savor the dismemberment of space. You shall witness your own bodies being torn apart. This is the price for offending me." Han Yan's expression grew grave, yet his purple pupils glimmered with clarity. The purple energy, now fully unleashed, enveloped him in a protective shield. However, with Arno and Lonzo incapable of self-preservation, Han Yin had to strain to expand the barrier to encompass them all. Though the purple energy continued to flow ceaselessly from within, the pressure upon him intensified. To effortlessly tear apart space was a feat reserved for the most formidable experts of the realm of death. While the Wind King's ability to manipulate such a multitude of spatial rifts suggested his power had transcended the realm of life, reaching towards the domain of nature itself. As the myriad fissures threatened to erode his protective shield, Han Yin felt the weight of impending doom pressing down upon him. In his arms, the small purple flame creature tilted its head, its purple eyes fixated on the violent energy swirling within the rifts, drooling in anticipation. Yet the constantly shifting rifts rendered it restless. With its current nascent strength, it could not afford to disregard the peril posed by these spatial cuts. Chapter 32. The Celestial Star. The Emperor Ziwei and the Emperor Gocheng exchanged glances, their eyes instinctively drawn to the paramount leader of the Taoist lineage. The two great Taoist lords. Yet, at this moment, the expression on Yuan Shitian Zun's face remained inscrutable, while Tongtian Jiaozhu, standing nearby, displayed a hint of displeasure, seemingly restrained by unspoken forces. Upon meeting the inquisitive gazes of the two emperors, he sighed softly and shook his head. The other deities of Huaxiao revealed expressions of confusion and bewilderment. However, upon witnessing the terrifying prowess of the Wind King, they fell into silence. Observing the peculiar protective shield enveloping Han Yin, which could withstand the slicing of spatial rifts, the Wind King could not help but feel a flicker of astonishment. Despite Han Yin's unique cultivation method that concealed his true strength, the Wind King understood that, like them, Han Yin was a mysterious revenant who had only arrived in this realm of death a mere few months prior. In such a short span, he had acquired such formidable and extraordinary power. A profound, killing intent flashed deep within the Wind King's pupils. Any existence that posed a threat must be extinguished in its infancy. A radiant spectrum of colors erupted from his brow, as peculiar waves gradually synchronized with the fissures in the fractured space. His hands moved in seemingly ethereal trajectories before coalescing into a sword suffused with an ancient aura. With a resounding command, "Transform!" the ancient sword surged forth, each blade shadow tracing a marvelous arc, becoming the cutting edge of every spatial division. The originally intangible spatial cuts became increasingly solidified with the ancient sword's intervention, and the violet protective shield surrounding Han Yin flickered with brilliance, seemingly on the verge of shattering. Han Yin's expression turned eerily tranquil. On the path of slaughter, he was a sovereign, an entity beyond challenge. Even the vast disparity in power could not undermine his indomitable spirit. He took a step forward, and within the ever-shifting rifts of space. That step came at the cost of triggering the mysterious purple force, shattering the protective shield with a crisp sound. A flurry of visible sword shadows intersected, leaving countless minute wounds on the bodies of Han Yin, Arno, and Longzhou. Blood gushed forth from the gaping wounds, infusing the sacred hall of Huaxia's Taoist lineage with a chilling aura. The scent of blood began to permeate the air, and the three figures bore numerous wounds, their bones exposed and their flesh torn, instilling dread in the hearts of the assembled deities. Yet, Han Yin, Arno, and Longzhou exchanged glances, reading pride and defiance in each other's eyes. Suddenly, they erupted into thunderous laughter, a cacophony filled with unyielding resolve. This was the conviction of the three emperors, never to yield. Arno and Longzhou finally succumbed, their few months in the realm of death having rendered them vulnerable amid unrelenting power struggles. With their current strength, they were exceedingly fragile. Had it not been for the convictions of their past lives sustaining them, they likely would have succumbed to the agony long ago. However, Han Yin appeared impervious to the excruciating pain that lacerated his flesh. Strangely, he gradually closed his eyes, entering a state of profound enlightenment. For the first time, he perceived his own body clearly, witnessing the enigmatic force that had lain dormant within him for countless years, the purple power coursing through his meridians, flesh, bones, and nerves. He found himself immersed within his own being, his thoughts swirling with the layers of luminescent purple energy. After undergoing the cycle of the Great Circulation 81 times, he finally discerned the endpoint and source of the purple force. Within his marrow sea, a solitary star emanating infinite purple radiance hung suspended in the void, surrounded by an expanse of nothingness and silence. It stood in proud solitude. This was its destiny, the ultimate source of his power, the celestial star. Beyond the void, the dual forces of black and white churned fervently, yearning to breach the invisible shackles, yet all was in vain. Han Yin remained tranquil, his eyes gently closed. 1 year. 2 years, perhaps 10,000 years or more, until he nearly forgot how to open his eyes. The heavens rumbled, the earth trembled. As Han Yin sought an answer, the means to open his eyes, suddenly, within the boundless void, a fissure seemed to appear, and the external black and white forces surged inward, encircling the solitary star. Thus, Han Yin finally learned how to open his eyes. He raised his arm, a warm and gentle smile gracing his features. I have learned. And in turn, you have learned, ha ha ha. His laughter resonated, amplifying the brilliance of the celestial star. The purple life wheel. Han Yin opened his eyes, and before him lay his own battered, bloodied form, yet his gentle smile remained radiant. As he spoke, a faint ethereal silhouette suddenly illuminated the western horizon, heralding the judgmental power of the purple life wheel, which began to rotate in his left hand. Within the hall, amidst the dark, blood-soaked rifts of space, purple light surged, striving to shatter the confines of this realm. Under the judgmental force of the purple life wheel, 9 dragon-shaped whirlwinds roared forth as if summoned by the mightiest ancient beasts, tearing through the air. The power of these 9 ancestral behemoths caused the very fabric of the hall to begin to collapse. The 9 heavenly beasts, born of the primordial chaos, symbolized the judgment of Huaxia, manifesting as the purple life wheel, wielding the decree of law. Under the nourishing essence of the purple force, Han Yin's body instantly regained its former vigor, while Arno and Longzhua, having lost much blood, though their wounds healed, remained weak and unconscious. Wind King. Do you recall the legends of Han Yin in your memories? Chapter 33, The Command of the Divine King. The words of Han Yin echoed through the vast hall, starkly contrasting with the solemn and noble tone of the Wind King. An inexplicable arrogance and dominance reverberated deeply within the hearts of the gods. The Wind King's expression shifted. The 9-headed celestial beast emanated a menacing aura that instilled an indescribable pressure upon him. The recently awakened powers and memories instinctively alerted him to an impending danger. The legends of the Lord of Death would compel you to once again experience the terror of slaughter. With a thunderous roar, the 9-headed celestial beast transformed into 9 streaks of light, converging upon the Wind King. As he beheld the oncoming luminescence, a grave look flickered in his eyes. Throughout eons of awakened memories, he had encountered numerous formidable beings across the universe, even if he had not faced them all directly. His life, spanning nearly as long as the universe itself, had made him familiar with its powerful entities. Yet, the mysterious and formidable presence of Han Yin's assault, along with that of the 9 celestial beasts, was something he had never encountered before. The unknown evokes fear and trepidation in all beings, human or divine alike. Yet, this only fortified his resolve to annihilate Han Yin entirely, although his powers had only recently awakened, granting him a mere 5th-tier strength. He possessed enough confidence to ensure Han Yin suffered defeat. With a sudden motion, the Wind King spun rapidly like a top, his divine energy coalescing into a conical shield, countering the 9 roaring celestial beasts with a singular force that multiplied into 9. However, an unexpectedly discordant meow pierced the air at that moment. Amidst the 9 celestial beasts, a small white cat mingled with them. This insignificant creature from the realm of the dead completely disregarded the overwhelming might of the 9 celestial beasts, who, in turn, seemed to embrace the presence of the little creature. The 9 manifestations of the Wind King's essence barely had time to strike before being consumed by the little cat, Xian. However, it was clear that this time, the energy was overwhelmingly potent, and as Xian absorbed it, a transformation began. A blinding white light erupted from the little creature, and the darkened fur on its paws began to scale up, its claws thickening and transforming into 5 formidable talons, reminiscent of a dragon's grasp. A pained cry escaped Xian's mouth, disturbing Han Yin, who had grown fond of this pet, akin to a younger brother. The Wind King's expression shifted dramatically. The divine energy he wielded, one of his 2 signature techniques, could only be devoured by one fearsome entity in his extensive memory. He momentarily envisioned a colossal, rampaging beast of primal terror, and yet it bore an uncanny resemblance to the small nightcap before him. Yet, any existence that posed a threat must be eradicated. This was his principle. The unknown powers of the 9 celestial beasts pressured him, and he cast a glance at Yuanshi Tianzuan and Tongdian Jiaozhu, coldly remarking, "If you still consider me your king, assist me in capturing these 3. Yuanshi and Tongtian exchanged glances, both reflecting a sense of helplessness, but ultimately they proclaimed in unison, "All gods, heed my command, capture Han Yin." With the 2 great lords' edict, the Taoist deities within the hall collectively sighed. Although they were unaware of the unfolding events, they had no choice but to comply with the commands of their leaders. Xia Bingying's gaze shifted to Emperor Zy and Emperor Goqing. only to receive a chorus of resigned sighs. Han Yin, encircled by the deities of Huaxia, felt an inexplicable sorrow wash over him, though merely 3 months had elapsed. Witnessing his fellow Huaxia people within this realm of death offered him an alternative path amidst the cold bloodshed. Yet, the actions of the Huaxia gods today left him disheartened. A chill coursed through him as his eyes landed upon Xia Bingying, who remained aloof upon her elevated platform. A flicker of self-mockery crossed his mind. The one person who stirred his heart, the soul woman, seemed entirely oblivious to his presence. Perhaps, in her eyes, he was merely a lecher, a weak and ineffectual man. Suddenly, Han Yin erupted into a wild laughter, his desolate voice resounding throughout the hall, causing the approaching Huaxia gods to halt in their tracks, their faces darkening. As his laughter waned, an immense aura of cold-blooded malice enveloped his previously calm visage, as he coldly addressed the 2 great lords, from this day forth. Han Yin shall sever all ties with the Huaxia lineage. Should I escape this fate, we shall meet again, and it will be to the death. As Han Yin's words echoed, his surrounding purple energy whirled violently, collapsing the very space of the hall. In that moment, he comprehended the source of his enigmatic purple power and realized that his path remained unchanged. The Lord of Death would forever remain solitary. The Wind King's expression darkened as he recognized Han Yin's intent to break free, a surge of fury coursing through him. Yet, the complete collapse of the space before him deterred him from taking any rash actions, leaving him powerless to witness Han Yin vanish with Long Zhuo and Anhua. As silence fell and the sacred hall lay in ruins under the strain of spatial forces, the Wind King surveyed the Taoist deities with a cold gaze, ultimately fixing his attention on the 2 great lords. You have done well. If you had intervened, that boy would not have had the chance to escape. It is remarkable that you dared to defy my first command. Yuan Shi Tianzuan and Tongtian Jiaozhu exchanged apprehensive glances, but it was Yuan Shi who stepped forward, saying, as fellow members of the Huaxia lineage, why must the king resort to such ruthless measures? The Wind King's words left all present, save for the 2 great lords, in a state of confusion. Since the Wind King's abrupt ascension as their divine ruler to the execution of Han Yin, their actions had merely followed the directives of the 2 great lords, leaving them in the dark about the unfolding events. As the Wind King departed, a complex expression emerged on Yuan Shi Tianzuan's otherwise placid face, eventually transforming into a deep sigh. Second brother, I am unwilling. I truly am unwilling. Tongdian Jiaozhu, suddenly agitated, wore an expression of fury, drawing the attention of the gods toward Yuan Shi for answers. Yuan Shi, displaying rare humanity, patted Tongtian's shoulder, still sighing deeply. He then scanned the faces of the gathered deities, pausing on Xia Bingying, who appeared equally perplexed. I am aware that many questions weigh on your hearts. But now is not the time for the truth to be unveiled. 3 days hence, when our Huaxia lineage gathers, you will understand. At that time, we shall undoubtedly create a new era for our Huaxia lineage, avenging the fallen deities. Yuan Shi's words were cryptic, leaving the gods even more bewildered, deepening their confusion. Chapter 34. Gourd Paradise in the Void. Han Yin found himself continuously shifting and leaping through space. The awakening of the heavenly star power allowed him to retreat with composure in his confrontation with the Wind King, a fact that filled him with immense joy. However, he was acutely aware that he could no longer linger in this graveyard of death. The so-called divine king was intent on eliminating him, and the blind and ignorant deities were obediently following the orders of the 2 great lords. He realized that the lineage of Huaxia had truly forsaken him. A flicker of despondency crossed his face, only to be replaced by a cruel smile. The girl on his back, Shui clung tightly, while he held the proud and valiant figures of Arno and Longzhu in his hands. His silhouette traversed the space like a specter, heading straight for the 6th layer of the death realm. The murderous intent surged through his entire being, and the overwhelming power of the heavenly star invigorated his confidence to new heights. Tearing apart the fabric of space, a skill he had scarcely dared to imagine just months prior, now felt effortless and devoid of any anger. Perhaps his realm had ascended to the state of life, yet the boundless surge of star power, along with the profound source of incomprehensible strength within the Marrow Sea, instilled in Han Yin the confidence to withstand natural realm masters like the Wind King. His physical body, tempered by star power, had become indestructible, as resilient as gold or stone. The strength he once possessed in his previous life now seemed trivial in comparison. Han Yin's eyes narrowed, and 2 tangible beams of violet light erupted forth, capable of tearing apart the space of the 8th layer of death. A dense purple shield rose, enveloping Shui, Arno, and Longzhu within. Amidst the excited cries of little Ziyin, they broke through 2 barriers of space, finally setting foot once more on the soil of the sixth layer of death. The sight of the snow-capped mountains was as familiar as it was haunting. Reminiscent of events from months past, the visage of Walker, with his playful grin, materialized before Han Yan's eyes, warming his heart, a reminder of his first friend, to whom he owed a life. And then there was Ross, that pitiful man, his devoted follower. Schwer gazed around in surprise and confusion at the surroundings, feeling a strange familiarity in this once foreign environment. Gradually, her large eyes sparkled with joy as warm tears streamed down her cheeks. Overwhelmed with excitement, she struggled to find words. The experiences of the past months had matured her significantly. A gentle smile graced Han Yan's face as he glanced at the emaciated figures atop the snow-covered mountains. In a flash, he appeared at the entrance of Gourd Valley. A few months may seem trivial in the grand scheme of the Death Realm's prolonged evolution. Yet for the countless newly born souls, those months could rival the transformation of seas into mulberry fields. Schwer stared blankly at the drastically altered Gourd Valley, which had transformed from a desolate wilderness of black stone dwellings into a series of exquisite courtyards. Though the snow and wind still howled beyond the mountains, the valley emanated an aura of peace and tranquility. Han Yan was momentarily taken aback. The changes were indeed monumental. "Welcome to Gourd Garden. May I inquire if you wish for accommodation or dining?" A smiling young attendant appeared before Han Yan, unperturbed by his peculiar appearance, which included carrying two individuals while a strange night owl perched on his shoulder, with a flicker of his celestial eye. The entirety of Gourd Valley became vividly clear within his consciousness. The valley had transformed into a bustling commercial hub, complete with inns, taverns, and shops. "First, prepare 2 rooms for us to rest, and while you're at it, enlighten me on the events that have transpired in Gourd Valley over these past few months," Han Yan commanded. The young attendant's smile remained radiant as he led the way, explaining, "This esteemed guest, you must have visited here before, hence your queries. 3 months ago, Gourd Valley was acquired by my master and expanded into the current Gourd Garden, designed specifically for newly arrived souls and adventurers seeking leisure and entertainment." "Your master acquired Gourd Garden?" Han Yan was taken aback. In the Death Realm, territorial divisions signified the strength of a power. He knew that Gourd Valley was under the jurisdiction of Black Blood City, a personal domain of the Ghost King from the Eightfold Dragon clan. To purchase land from the Ghost King was no trivial matter, and it surely was not merely a transaction of wealth. The young attendant, seemingly accustomed to the astonished expressions of others, proudly continued, "Indeed, my master is a close friend of the Ghost King, which enabled the acquisition of Gourd Valley's rights." Upon hearing this, a glimmer of coldness flashed in Han Yan's eyes as an ominous premonition began to surface in his mind. "As far as I know, many perished here a few months ago. The last time I visited, it was still a graveyard." The chill deepened in Han Yan's gaze. But the young attendant remained blissfully unaware, continuing with a sense of pride, "My master intends to establish Gourd Garden, thus all the graves were cleared away. It is rather distasteful, really. The bodies beneath the graves had only just begun to decay, and many of the gravediggers were left retching." Before he could finish, an invisible yet heavy aura of murderous intent, as weighty as a mountain, silenced him completely. His gaze met Han Yan's face, which was twisted into a cruel smile. "What became of those bodies in the end?" I. The attendant's heart was seized by the ferocious killing intent emanating from Han Yan, causing him to teeter on the brink of mental collapse. The once bustling Gourd Valley fell into a profound silence under Han Yan's chilling aura, as all present gazed in fear at the figure enveloped in flickering violet flames. Beyond the snowy mountains lay the ice forest, home to countless ghostly beasts, a paradise for adventurers. High-level ghostly beasts were exceedingly precious. They could serve as soul beasts, enhancing one's combat prowess, and their cores bore properties akin to demon race inner elixirs, capable of increasing soul power and cultivation when consumed. Thus, each year, countless adventurers ventured deep into the ice forest, hoping to capture these formidable beasts. Consequently, Gourd Garden had become a haven for all adventurers, a place to trade various ghostly cores and, after enduring boundless slaughter and danger, enjoy the finest material comforts. Therefore, even now, numerous adventurers roamed within Gourd Valley. Within the courtyards of Gourd Garden, several figures felt a tremor in their hearts as an overwhelming force, potent enough to threaten the entire sixth layer of the Death Realm, emerged, a force entirely unknown and profoundly alien. Chapter 35, Starfist. Dragon's Fury. Han Yan felt a stirring in his heart. Although the eye of the heavens was still somewhat feeble due to his limited cultivation, it was sufficient to encompass everything within the Gourd Valley. The appearance of 3 figures captured Han Yan's attention, they were undoubtedly formidable beings, at least comparable to experts of the elder level. Upon seeing one another, the trio was equally taken aback. To the left stood a strikingly handsome young man with flowing silver hair, clad in a robe as crimson as fresh blood. A jade flute was slanted at his waist, shocking the senses of all who beheld him. However, apart from Han Yin and the two others, the rest were overtaken by expressions of fear. Directly opposite Han Yin was a burly man with a stern visage and a thick beard, accompanied by a massive black tiger that emanated an imposing aura. Though initially drawn to Han Yin's extraordinary power, his demeanor shifted upon recognizing the blood flute prince, Xiaoho. His tiger-like eyes widened, and he let out a cold snort, declaring, "Xiaoho, I never expected you to dare stand before me, Tuoba Xiong. This time, your blood demon father is not here to back you. It is time for you to repay the blood debt of 139 lives of the Li clan." Tuoba Xiong, the first disciple of the Dragon King, was renowned as the second most powerful within the Dragon King's faction, surpassed only by the Dragon King himself, with even the elders unable to contend with him. Known for his exuberant and righteous nature, he was a celebrated hero among many. Xiaoho, the blood flute prince, was equally astonished to find his nemesis present. 300 years prior, he had exterminated the Li clan but was gravely wounded in the process, cornered by the arriving Tuoba Xiong. Had it not been for the timely arrival of his father, the blood demon ancestor, Xiaoho would have perished at Tuoba Xiong's hands. Now, fully healed, both old grievances and new animosities surged within him, igniting a murderous intent that hinted at an imminent clash between the two. "Both of you, calm yourselves. This is not the time to settle personal scores," a deep, aged voice resonated from the right. It belonged to an elderly man, elegantly dressed yet with gray hair, high nose, and profound eyes. Under normal circumstances, neither Xiaoho nor Tuoba Xiong would tolerate interference at such a moment. However, to everyone's astonishment, both glanced at the gray-haired elder with a rare expression of respect. After exchanging a resentful glare, they turned their gazes back to Han Yin. "You, young man, are quite impressive." The elder approached Han Yin with a broad smile, his movements leisurely as if strolling through a garden, evoking a profound emotional response from Han Yin. The surrounding space within Tianzhong was in complete disarray due to the elder's celestial force. To approach him required the ability to break spatial restrictions, necessitating at least fifth-stage strength. At this moment, the elder's calm demeanor suggested he had transcended into a realm where he could entirely disregard the laws of space, thus mastering it completely. In his lifetime, Han Yin had encountered only two individuals of such natural prowess. One was the Wind King, whose powers had just awakened, and the other was this very elder. As for figures like the two great Tao lords, Han Yin's understanding of their realms was still insufficient. However, he was certain that within the pantheon of Taoist deities in Huaxia, the two great Tao lords, the four great emperors, as well as Xiao Bingying and Yang Jian, were undoubtedly beings of the celestial realm. "I have always been commendable, but you are the first to praise me so." Han Yin concealed his murderous intent, dissipating the previously tense atmosphere. His words, while playful, bore a cold countenance. "Ah, what an interesting lad. Do you know who I am?" The elder stroked the ring on his right hand, gazing at Han Yin with profound significance, as if already aware of his existence. Han Yin squinted, a cold smile gracing his lips. "Who are you to me? But if I am not mistaken, you must be the so-called master of this gourd garden." The elder's eyes widened in surprise, his expression shifting to one of gravity. "Han Yin, young man, your name has reached my ears through Brother Ghost King. What astonishes me is that within mere months, you have cultivated to this level. Today, even I cannot discern your true strength. It seems Brother Ghost King was right. The four mysterious souls from the lowly civilization of Earth each possess their unique capabilities. Those two beside you must be Arno and Lonzo." The audacity of Han Yin's words left not only the onlookers in shock, but also Xiaoho and Tuoba Xiong staring at him in disbelief. Mr. Jian, a powerful being of the natural realm within the sixth death space, was nearly on par with the Ghost King and the Dragon King. He was universally recognized as one of the strongest. Consequently, both Xiaoho and Tuoba Xiong had been warned by their elders to avoid conflict with him. Yet today, the nameless Han Yin dared to challenge Mr. Jian, prompting the onlookers to perceive him as somewhat lacking in awareness of his own limitations. However, Jian response defied their expectations. Rather than displaying anger at Han Yin's provocation, he replied with an air of indifference, "At the bottom of the snow-drifting cliff. If luck permits, perhaps you will find those skeletal remains. You shall die." Han Yin felt an overwhelming fury rise from the depths of his being, his murderous intent obliterating any sense of restraint. With a flicker of purple shadows, he shifted through countless spatial gaps, unleashing an unstoppable force in an exceedingly peculiar manner that completely closed off all avenues of retreat for Mr. Jianair. The first form of the Star Fist, Dragon's Fury, was unveiled to the world for the very first time. Witnessing Han Yan's lightning-fast strike and his mastery over space left both Xia Ho and Toba Xiong astounded, particularly as they beheld the overwhelming destructive force of the myriad purple energies that resembled flowing light, causing them to silently strategize on how to counter this formidable technique.